Napa know-how.
This month, at your local Napa Auto Care Center, when you get a premium oil change with a cabin air filter, you also get a $15 mail-in rebate, which means the pros do the job and you get paid. Wait, what? Get your premium oil change and a cabin air filter and save $15 at Napa Auto Care. Quality parts installed by the pros. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Care Centers. Offer ends 4/30/19.
Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to Let's Talk Jets Radio. You're listening to Let's Talk Jets Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Jets Radio. This is one of your hosts, Tyson Roush, and we have a huge show for you. Tons of information with free agency just around the corner. We got possible trades, possible signings, possible all kinds of stuff. So this will be a lot of fun to talk about. Let me introduce the man of the people, Long Beach Joe. How are you doing, my friend?
What's going on, Ty? Man, a lot of stuff we got going, a lot of stuff we can do to make this team better. It is right around the corner. It's time for Mac to earn his check, man. It's time for him to put a stamp on this football team and make it better. And I can't wait to see the moves that we're going to make. Can't wait to get into the conversation, man. So listen, I am the man of the people. I am here for the people. Let me shamelessly promote our Facebook page. Everyone go on Facebook, search Let's Talk Jets Radio. Like that page. Our content's up there. Go ahead and give it a listen. Message us. We'll message you right back. We love going back and forth with folks about this football team. Also, leave us some feedback. We love hearing about what you folks think we do here on Let's Talk Jets Radio. So without further ado, Ty, let's go ahead and get into the show, man. I'm fired up.
Yeah, I'm fired up too, man. As always, we're on Instagram and Twitter at Talk Jets Radio. We're on YouTube, Let's Talk Jets Radio. Always get some interesting feedback on there. Some angry people out there, I guess, apparently don't like me, but that's cool. And so we appreciate all the follows, all the support. This one dude just keeps attacking me. I'm like, get a goddamn life, dude. Damn, I mean, like, it's a hobby. I'm not, like, just, I don't know what. It's just. Somebody pissed in his cornflakes. He just keeps attacking me, man. I don't understand it, but whatever. So, YouTube, Let's Talk Jets Radio, and also Spreaker, S-P-R-E-A-K-E-R, Spreaker.com. We're on there, featured on there, actually. So, please subscribe, like us everywhere on iTunes. We appreciate all the supports, the follows, everything else. Tonight should be an interesting show because I came home and my hot water heater blew up. So, I'm not exactly sure how much I'm going to talk on this show, if the plumber is going to come, if I'm going to drown. I'm not sure what's going to happen, Joe, so I'm going to do my best to get through this without just swimming away.
Yeah, but look, I'm a positive person. You know that, Ty. We've been friends for forever. I'm very sure your hot water heater, everything is going to be good to go. It's going to get smoothed over. I'm hoping it gets fixed soon. But listen, people, look what we go through. You know, look what happens in the midst of us doing the show and being Jets fans and talking about what we got to talk about. Things go on around us. You know what I'm saying? You know there's been stuff going on where I've had to do the show, complicated places, and things have gone on. And, you know, your hot water heater's going through it, but we're going to get through it together, though. You know what I'm saying? Because you know who else is in the hot water? Mike McCagnon, okay? So we got to make sure we keep our eye on the prize with him, too, because he's got some hot water surrounding him as well. So we're going to see what's going on with this, man.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a great transition. And, you know, as always, check out NYSF Magazine. Primetime did a lot of really cool stuff in there, a lot of great articles on Kevin Mawai and the Jets and everything else. Check that out, nysfmag.com. And, Joe, like you said, there's a lot going on. But before we even go into that, the one thing I want to touch on is the New York Jets on April 4th are announcing the new uniforms, which for a lot of fans, they're excited about it because they want to buy all the new gear and see all the new colors and everything else. And to me, the Jets are missing on an enormous opportunity, which should be no surprise because when it comes to fan events, they just don't get it. But, dude, this is a great opportunity to have, they're having an event that night in New York City, which will be exclusive with VIPs and the meeting and everything else, which is fine. What they should do is at their beautiful state-of-the-art complex that following Saturday, have a huge fan event where fans can buy the jerseys and get this, meet their favorite players that wear those jerseys, get some autographs, have a fan-friendly event. Just have a nice event. It's not hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you're having this exclusive event that everybody's excited about. Why not make it a big festival, a big fan fest? The free agency will be in full swing. Get some of the guys you signed in there, and have a bunch of the new gear there to buy and get autographed and everything else. To me, this is a no-brainer, and I have no idea why they're not doing that.
Yeah, but I mean, this is something we talked about in the past, the lack, the cold consistency from the front office or, PR as well when dealing with the fans, how a lot of the fans don't feel like, even when we go to the stadium environment, how we don't feel like it's our home. And I think this is another thing yet again when we're saying, hey, what's going on? Why are you having exclusive events where media and only, VIP can get in, but you're not giving anything to the fans? You're not allowing the fans to be part of this journey as well. Like you said, and that's pretty simple to me. It's not rocket science. You would look at the situation and say, okay, we got new jerseys coming out. Let's bring our fans out after this VIP event. Let's bring our fans out. Let's have them come out. Let's get, Adams out there. Let's get Darnold out there. Let's get former players out there as well. Let's sell the jerseys. Let's have them meet players. Let's have them talk to them because guess what? These are the people that are going to come pay to see these players in these jerseys. Let's have them sit down and talk to the players about the jersey and how this is a new era and we're moving forward in these jerseys. We're going to be, killing people next year, and this is what you're going to see. That's something really simple that you can do to kind of, again, ingrain yourself with the fans so we're all one team. And, I think it's a missed opportunity, but, it's not the only time that we've talked about missed opportunities with this franchise, with the fans.
Yeah, it's a huge missed opportunity because the fans are excited, man. Listen, everybody, you have $100 million to spend. You have Sam Darnold, Jamal Adams. You have all this positivity building around this team, and you're revealing new uniforms. Keep this positivity going. Hey, if you sign Le'Veon Bell, have him there. You have a huge. The complex in Florham Park is enormous. Hence, you can just tons of jerseys, tons of T-shirts, have an autograph booth, and have a real positive day where everybody's having a good time. And guess what? Spending a ton of money. So it's a win-win for everybody. So obviously, we'll see if the Jets change their mind or do something. But to have a VIP event in New York City and keep just say, hey fans, go to NewYorkJets.com and buy your latest gear. That's so just not
it's
thinking about the full picture, man. Yeah, it's just stupid.
It's
it
cold.
really is. It's like they don't get their whatever. So that's the one thing. So if the Jets if they want to learn any lessons, have a fan event in the uniforms, and the following Saturday, whatever it is. The fans are excited, want to spend money, take advantage of it. So that's the first thing. The other thing is there's a ton of news and notes about who the Jets are interested in, who they're not interested. A ton of free agents, a lot of surprising guys that have been released. But the one little nugget that came out a little while ago is the Jets have expressed interest in Antonio Brown, but according to Manish, they're not really. They put some feelers out there, but it looks like they're kind of pulling back, or maybe the price tag was too high. So I guess, Joe, twofold: are you surprised they reached out, and are you surprised they pulled back out and aren't really interested?
No, I'm not surprised they reached out. This is one of the guys that I talked about I wanted us to target and get. I don't know if we're necessarily out of it just yet. I know every time Antonio opens his mouth, I feel like that trade value is getting lower and lower and lower. I know he's doing anything that he can do to get out of there. And, hey, whatever he does, if it helps us get a lower price, then it is what it is. I don't know if we're necessarily out of it because, again, there's things that I think we're going to do there's things that could possibly come from draft day as far as us trading down. We may acquire more picks that may kind of entice things, for us to move forward and possibly go and get him. So we'll see what happens. But, look, it's time to get some talent in here. It's time to get some elite guys. It's time to get some guys that we can surround Sam Darnold with so that we can really be a threat next year. And if you want to do that, you got to go out and do whatever you can to garner that talent. And looking into Antonio Brown and being in the hunt for him and trying your best to do whatever you can, that seems like common sense to me because, again, Mac is on the hot seat. He is. If you look at when he first came in and we were all excited about him, and he was at GM of the Year award, whatever. How did he do that? He did a lot of that through free agency. When he brought in all those guys, when he spent all that money up when he first came here, that's how he won a lot of the fans over. And that's how he, had us believing at first that, hey, this guy can get the job done. We all seen his struggles in the draft. I mean, that's been duly noted by everybody. So to see him go after one of the top targets that could be out there, it's a no-brainer to me. And I hope he gets the job done eventually and gets him in here.
Yeah, I'm not surprised they put their feelers out. I think the Steelers' asking price is probably still too high, especially with all the things Antonio Brown is doing. He's almost like sabotaging it to the point where he wants to be released. And that's my personal opinion. I think he's trying to do whatever he can to put the Steelers in a point where they're like, you know what, we give up. We're just going to release you. And then he can get his big, fat new contract with a ton of guaranteed money and everything else. So, listen, I wouldn't offer much either. I let it kind of play out. I think there's no rush to make a move. So, you can keep your foot in the door, see what happens, and then listen. I don't think it's kind of I don't think this is a scenario where you're aggressive, because I think it could get a lot worse. I think the value could go down a lot more. So I don't mind the Jets not getting involved in that to this point. The other news in terms of wide receivers, Robbie Anderson, which was no surprise, a second-round tender, and Joe, to be honest, that's his value. And this is what we've talked about, and I've been ripped for about 3 weeks now from everybody on Twitter saying, listen, if somebody offers me a second-round pick for Robbie Anderson, I'm really tempted. I just am. And listen, Adam Gase can say all he wants about how great he is and how smooth he is and how all these great things. I understand all of that. I also look at this draft class and all the talent at linebacker, defensive lineman, all these things, our need offensive line, all these different things.
Yep.
That second rounder could address that. Help address it.
Yep.
So the second round tender makes sense for me, Joe, but at the same time, if somebody actually offers it gets interesting. You really, truly got to consider it. And I know the argument is, well, he's got great chemistry with Sam Darnold, and he has all this, he has all that. Here's the thing. He has a lot to prove on and off the field, and are you ready to give him a new contract? And right now I'm not. I'm not saying here, Robbie, you know what? Here's 5 years, $45 million, $25 million guaranteed. I'm not ready to do that. I don't trust him. He's still got to earn my trust.
Exactly.
So if somebody offers a second-round pick, Joe, dude, I would seriously consider it.
Oh, yeah. I'm not considering it. He's gone. I've been very clear about my stance with Robbie. I like Robbie as a wide receiver here, but that second-round tender to me makes total sense. If somebody offers you some type of value like that for him, then goodbye, because of all the things that you talked about as well, and that's where I was going to go is, hey, look, has he done enough to garner you giving him that big contract? Not just on the field, but off the field, for me, I think is the huge thing, specifically with him. He's had multiple incidents. You got to wonder, hey, is this a guy that I can give money to, and is he going to be solid mentally, off the field so that we can get him here and he can play football for us? And I don't know, because of the issues that he's had there. So I don't necessarily know if you want to pay a guy like that, but again, you place a second-round tender on them, and somebody gives us a second-rounder, goodbye. If they don't, well, then, hey, it's a prove year for Robbie. You show us what you can do. Stay good off the field, produce on the field, and we'll look to see what we can do with you. But to me, a second-round tender is a solid move for us, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is it's so funny, like, how fans want to buy into everything. And you got to understand, this is smoke and mirrors season, this is negotiation season, everything else. Obviously, Mike McCagnon and Adam Gase are going to spew positives about every freaking person that's under contract on their roster. Because guess what?
Of course.
That's how you get leverage, and that's how you increase your trade value, your stock value, and everything else.
Yep.
If you say, hey, you know what, Robbie Anderson is one-dimensional, but you know what? They don't covet him. So you always, no matter who the player is, Leonard Williams, Robbie, whoever it is, you act like he's your best player. You tell everybody he's our best player. We love him. So when somebody, puts their feelers out, we really love this guy, but if you want him, we could talk deal. So don't always buy into everything the team is telling you, because, listen, Joe, this is the ultimate negotiating season for this team. Like, they're going to sell you a bag of goods, 8 ways to Sunday. Yeah,
exactly. And like you said, you never want to look at a player and talk about all the negatives and stuff and why you're kind of on the edge of not signing them and trying to see. No, you want to get the most value that you possibly can for whoever's on the roster. Look at the situation with Quincy. Quincy's deal coming up. Hey, we made sure we got a deal done with him. He's still here. So I think if they were looking to really lock Robbie up, they could do that. We got a lot of money. There's no issues there. I think they're still in that wait-and-see mode as well with him. So talking and making sure that you can get the most value for a player that's on your roster if a move needs to be made, and making sure that you don't downplay him to show that, hey, we don't covet him, I think is a smart move. I think that's pretty much status quo throughout the entire NFL. But, as far as going forward with Robbie, again, that second-round tender, somebody offers it, I would make the move. If not, we'll see what we get out of him.
Yeah, it's a make-or-break year for him and Leonard Williams. They're both playing out their contract as of now. But just always keep in mind, the things you read from the team, they're in sell mode. They are going to sell you anything they can to promote the value of their players. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So then if they're involved in trade discussions, they can portray that, hey, I love this player, but, we can part ways with him. That's the first thing. Second thing is, there's two things that over the past couple of weeks we really haven't covered a lot because it hasn't really been a considered position of need. But based on recent cuts from teams, now Mike McCagden's really got his hands full. And I'm going to tell you why. There are now inside linebackers that are very good, very, very good, that are now available. So now you have C.J. Mosley, who is a ridiculously good player, on the market.
Yeah.
Now you tell me, listen, you put C.J. Mosley next to Williamson or however you want to do it. Dude, your defense is significantly better. Now the question is, do you consider that? How do you handle that? How do you handle Darren Lee? Because, Joe, Darren Lee, who had a better year last year, improved off the field. The dude is suspended. There's been some issues.
Exactly.
I mean, overall, his Jets career has been okay. Based on where he was drafted, not really satisfactory. But now based on the competition at the position where you can't argue, there are players out there that are an upgrade over Darren Lee right now. They just are, especially in the 3-4 defense, especially, Joe. So now the question is, do you look after a C.J. Mosley or one of these guys that's a legitimate dominant player inside?
Yeah, I definitely would. I mean, they always preach competition at every position. If you're looking at a C.J. Mosley and you can bring him in, I would. I love Darren Lee. Everyone knows that. This is my guy. I talked about him, improving coming into the season. During last offseason, I thought he was one of the guys who were going to flourish. But again, when you talk about the off-the-field stuff with him, he's had multiple instances as well off the field. One of them, he got pulled out by Leonard Williams. Now it was a suspension this year. And you got to wonder, he's been very up and down as well. We talked about him, kind of maturing as a linebacker, but there's still some holes here and there. There were some games here where he was inconsistent as well, particularly in coverage. So if you can get a guy like C.J. Mosley and bring him in, then I would do it. To me, it's kind of a no-brainer there.
Yeah, me too. And this is a challenge for Mike McCagden because Darren Lee's the first-round pick who, he improved last year. We both like him. He did well. But that suspension towards the end really bummed me out where it's like this guy is just starting to get it, and obviously he doesn't get it. So now it's like, all right, fine. We go into this year, which is basically a contract year for him as well, and now you look at what else is out there. And C.J. Mosley is a game-changing player on defense. He's just a rock in the middle. You put him next to Williamson, who we both like, and, dude, you can run with it. The other position that is becoming fascinating, which is making me really torn, is safety. Now, listen, we love Jamal Adams up, down, out, and he is a Pro Bowl, all-pro player. Love him. Here's the challenge, Joe. Next to him, his little sidekick over there can't stay healthy. Yeah. Now, Marcus May, I've made the argument when Marcus May is healthy, there's times he played better than Jamal Adams. But here's your challenge.
Absolutely.
Marcus May can't stay healthy so far in his career. And now you have players that become free agents like Landon Collins and Eric Weddle and Earl Thomas.
Yeah.
And you have a litany, not just one. There's probably 5 or 6. I mean, Tyrann Mathieu, not really. He's very versatile. You have players out there, Joe, that you put them next to Jamal Adams, and you got something going. So now the question is, do you go down that road, or do you say, no, Marcus May is our guy? And, man, listen, again, I love Marcus May, one of my favorite players on the team, but based on Joe, he hasn't done anything in the NFL. He's done nothing. He's accomplished nothing. And you have some of these other guys. Do you consider adding a prominent safety now?
I understand. I've been approached by many other fans as well. I've gone back and forth with people about it. Look, I understand that in the grand scheme of things, Marcus May put together 10 years plus of just dominant safety play. Not yet, but I do think that he's good enough to move forward with him. What I would do is I wouldn't necessarily go sign one of the prominent safeties to kind of back him up. I would sign like a second-tier safety that can come in and fill in spots because, like you said, he does have, that injury bug. He does get nicked up from time to time, and I think that this upcoming season is going to be a big season for him. He's going to be one of my guys as well. I'm already writing down the names of some of my guys that I think is really going to step up this season, next season, and have a very solid season and a complete season too. But I think that's going to be huge for him to show that he can stay healthy. But I don't think that safety, particularly, especially behind May, I don't think it's something that we have to run out and address immediately because I think he's solid enough. I mean, when he was fully healthy and he was out there, he was the best player on our defense, hands down. I mean, you look at his rookie year, he was just absolutely amazing when he was out there. He was better than everybody else. So, again, I would like to see maybe a second-tier safety brought in, or maybe we can bring some guys back because we're staying in that 3-4 to kind of come in and spell. But I don't think we have to spend big money on safety.
Yeah, see, this is where listen, same thing with Darren Lee, the same thing with Marcus May with me. I'm bringing in competition. If you could bring in a Tyrann Mathieu or somebody else that may take Marcus May's time, so be it. Beat him out. I mean, in the NFL is a passing league where a lot of these guys are almost like hybrid linebackers. I mean, that's kind of the role they're playing. To me, I love Marcus May, but this is about opportunity and upgrading the talent on the team. If you have 3 great safeties, and then the other thing is Greg Williams is super creative. Have 3 great safeties and put them all in the field. Let them all roam around and do things. I don't care. So to me, it's something that, again, I would consider it, Joe. This is, every position on the field, there should be competition. And when you have, these aren't just like guys. This isn't like, I don't want to insult any players, but this isn't like just the guy. These are like Pro Bowl caliber players, like dominant leaders, guys that have accomplished a lot in the NFL. It's like, dude, and the thing with Landon Collins is, I understand Landon Collins is not a pass coverage guy. He's not a very, in terms of coverage, he lacks. But at the line of scrimmage, the guy is an animal. So you give him to Greg Williams, dude, God knows what he can do with him. So it's a lot of versatility, and I guess it comes down to price. But, man, listen, I consider inside linebacker. I consider safety. I don't think there's many spots on this defense where I feel comfortable enough to say, you know what, we don't need nobody there. Because then just going to that, look at all these pass rushers now. There's a lot of guys out there that people are kind of surprised about. And there's a lot of rumblings where it's like, okay, a guy like D. Ford or Jadeveon Clowney, they're available for a trade. But the bigger thing is you have a guy like Justin Houston who reportedly is getting released. To me, it's like, listen, there are certain players where we've been preaching you want building block players and guys that could be here 4 or 5 years. And I'm going to give you a hot take right now, Joe. I would take Justin Houston over Dante Fowler, and I would do it. I would absolutely do it. And there's a litany of reasons why. First of all, his resume. Second of all, the money, it's going to be somewhat probably equal, which is ridiculous based on their accomplishments. I'm going Justin Houston, dude. I really am.
And I'm going to give you a hotter take. I'm going both of them. I would like to sign both of them.
There you go.
I don't see why we only have to have one. Look, Justin Houston, the second he gets on that market, it is time for Mac to get the job done. That's a guy that you need to bring in here. And I think Fowler's also a guy that you need to bring in here because he has talent. He's a bit raw. He has talent.
But would you rather have Flowers or Fowler?
I would rather have Flowers, but I don't necessarily know. See, the thing is, I rate Flowers over Dante Fowler, but I really can't see us necessarily closing a deal on Flowers for some reason. I think he's a guy that we'll go after, but we'll probably miss out on. I would love to have him. He's definitely on my list of targets there. But if you read, anything, we are definitely in there on Fowler. We are absolutely after Fowler. I know that Mac for years has tried to make trades for the guy. So to me, I think we're more on the inside track of Fowler. And that's why I want to bring both of them in. I think Justin Houston's an older guy, veteran guy that we can have here for a couple of years, maybe 2, maybe 3 years, maybe max. And then after that, Fowler can be the guy to take over. I would like Trey Flowers as well, though. Again, he's one of my targets to bring in, too.
Yeah, listen, if you have an offseason where you could add Justin Houston and Trey Flowers, that to me is win. And the more I think about it, the more I don't want Dante Fowler Jr. I don't. I don't want to pay for potential because his whole career has been potential and he hasn't done anything with it. He's basically I don't care about the one big play in the Super Bowl or the one big play in the championship game. I care about the years that he disappointed and did nonsense off the field and didn't really put up any quality numbers. The sack numbers are terrible. I mean, it's just not worth $15, $16 million a year. Because with our luck, the Jets' luck, he'll be a complete bust and he'll be out of here in 2 years. I'd rather go with the guys who have been there, done that, have a much better resume, a much better background where they're team guys, they're high effort guys, they're work ethic guys. Like what you're getting with D Ford. You know what you're getting with Trey Flowers. Even like Jadeveon Clowney. I don't know where all of a sudden people say he sucks. I don't know how you figure he sucks. You're going to rip a player like Clowney when Dante Fowler hasn't accomplished anything. The dude didn't even start that many games. Like, it's just like all of a sudden now we're discounting elite pass rushers over a guy that's done nothing.
Yeah, I don't know why people are saying he's trash. Well, I don't get that.
Unbelievable.
But a big thing that would hinder bringing in Fowler for me is the numbers. If you have to pay that guy just a ridiculous amount of money to come in, then that's when I would move on. If you get in some type of crazy bidding war for him where the numbers are just absolutely ridiculous, then I will move on from there. But he's definitely a guy that I think we can bring in, especially in Williams' defense that's all about being aggressive, getting after. I think if you put Fowler with him, man, I think the kid can be a monster. I think he's got everything. I mean, he's got the physical ability. He's got the talent. I just think he needs to be in the right spot to really make that shine, and I think here could be the right spot for him, especially with Williams. So that's why I'm so kind of high on him. I understand the sack numbers haven't necessarily, been there, but I'm telling you, he gets after it. But again, Trey Flowers is a guy that I'm extremely interested in as well, but I just don't know if we'll be able to close the deal on him.
Yeah, me too. And that's the thing. And so it's like you look at all the rumblings now where it's like some guys could be available via trade, but it's like I think what it would take to get a D Ford or somebody like that. I think the Jets, first of all, they don't have the draft picks to give away, unfortunately.
No.
And secondly, it's like you can get a guy in free agency like a Justin Houston, or even if you go lesser, Robert Quinn or somebody like that, Trey Flowers. I think at this point, Joe, it's like this situation the Jets are in, they don't have the draft capital to make these splash trades. It's going to have to be, you're going to have to go free agency. You just have to, because the thing is, everybody's like, well, if we trade back, that's 2 months from now. Free agency is a week from now. So you can't worry. Like, you can't say, well, if we trade back, then we have the draft picks, then we could do this, then we could do that. It doesn't work like that. You got to be ready to go. And when the clock strikes midnight or whatever it is, 4 o'clock on free agency, you got to be able to make your moves, and you can't hope you have draft picks. You don't have them, and you can't assume. So it seems like you got to really go with the guys that are available and not the guys, going through trade.
Yeah, even some of the guys that we talked about that are going to be there or that are there, possibly available for trade, Clowney, Ford, these guys, you're going to give up, a bit to get them. And I don't know if we're necessarily in position to do that because of all the needs that we have on this football team. So I would kind of stay away from that. I would stay away from giving up multiple picks from, multiple years to try to get a pass rusher because, again, pass rusher is a premium position in the NFL. Period. You pay the guy that throws the ball, you pay the guy that chases the guy that throws the ball, So I think we can stay away from that and see what happens elsewhere, especially when you got free agency coming up and you got guys, that are readily available there that you don't have to spend any picks on, and all it's going to take you is getting money from your cap.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, that's, a lot of positions. We'll cover one more, then we'll go to the calls. And the last one, and these rumblings have been going on for about a week now, is the possible return of Austin Seferian-Jenkins. And to me, it makes sense. I know. It makes sense for a lot of reasons. First of all, the guy, he's a good run blocker. He's a good receiver, all this. He's also an excellent complement to Chris Herndon. So it's like it's not a significant position of need where I'm not giving him, crazy money. He hasn't – another guy that's like, listen, he's a consistent player, but he's not lighting the world on fire with his stats. But he's he liked it here. He did a good job. He seemed like he was a good teammate. Everybody bought in with him, and it helped out. So especially if you can't add that prominent receiver that you want. It's another give Adam Gase some say, listen, you go 2 tight end set and move guys around, then you have some versatility.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've talked about this literally in the last show, that he was one of the guys that I think that we should add and bring back. He was a guy that we never should have let go. And Mac looked really stupid when he did walk away for just a bit more money than we should have offered him. He's a guy that I would love to have come back here because of all the things that you named. And he's a guy you can pair with Herndon. he's going to be able to do things. He was a solid locker room guy. That's one of the main reasons I'd like to bring him back as well. Great teammate. He's a veteran tight end that has been in this league for quite a while. He's been doing his thing here a long time. He can help a lot of these other younger tight ends, Herndon mainly, really get themselves together and get to the next level because he's been there. So I'd be excited for him to be brought back, man. There was no reason he should have been gone in the first place.
No, I agree. So, like I said, a lot of interesting names, a lot of rumors. I mean, it's going to really ramp up the rest of this week. But, it's just, like you said, the spotlight is front and center on Mike Maccagnan. There is no way around it. I mean, he has to have a plan, a blueprint, and he's got to be aggressive. And there's really, Joe, there's no excuses. I mean, you need to assess what you have and be honest about it. Like, say, listen, this is not an area of strength. This is a position. It's a weakness. We have a chance to upgrade it. Let's upgrade it. And don't worry about hard feelings and don't worry about hurt feelings and don't worry about pissing off the locker room. Upgrade the team. You find a way to significantly upgrade this team and give them the best chance to win.
Yeah, I mean, he can't miss out on a lot of these free agents that are in here. We talked about it constantly, how we're always almost there. We're almost signed him. We were in the scrum, but we can't pull out. He cannot do that because the water is hot around him. I'm telling you, his seat is as hot as it gets. And if he doesn't make sure that he gets guys in here that are going to make us competitive next year, his ass is as good as gone. As good as gone. He's got to spend the money up. He's got to cover all the issues that he's had in the draft, all the failures that he's fixed. He's got to fix all these holes on his football team because of what he's done in the draft, the mistakes that he's made. And I think he, is going to try to find some way to get it done. Yeah,
so the other thing is, we'll go into like combines like that. We'll go to some calls first, but there's a lot of different, a lot of interesting scenarios that are out there. That's just, man, there are so many opportunities, and the Jets have so much just financial flexibility to get it done. There's really no excuse. If they find a guy, they pinpoint a guy, listen, we need to have whoever it is, get it done. You have the ability to do whatever the frick you want. And it's just, I mean, so we're going to go to Sal in Tampa. Sal, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How y'all doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. Enjoying the weather down here. Great show. Love it.
Man, we got snow and cold up here, so it sucks up here.
Well, it's been raining down here, but it's at least not snowing, and it's a little cooler tonight. But 70 is fine. I can live.
So Sal,
great show tonight.
Here's a question for you. There's some interesting names that have been released, especially in the inside linebacker position, and to me, C.J. Mosley sticks out almost immediately. Is that a type of player that you would consider, or do you think the Jets are okay at inside linebacker?
That's a tough call. Mosley's a great player, without a doubt. Bringing him in would be awesome, but then you're kind of, what are you going to do with Lee? You pretty much, I guess, got to trade him at that point. I don't think you're going to keep him with Williamson and Lee. I don't know. Lee has the off-the-field issues. He really hasn't worked out quite well. So, you really got to weigh that in and see what you can get for Lee on the trade market, maybe. So I don't think you're going to keep all three guys if you're going to bring in somebody like Mosley. And Mosley was definitely a big upgrade over Lee right now. That's a tough call. A very tough call. But I just don't see them keeping Mosley, Williamson, and Lee and get them all on the field at the same time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I want to thank you for calling in, Sal. I look at the situation like this. You look at Lee, it's been up and down. He looked like he was on the uptick, going on last season. There were some games where there was some spotty stuff, but then boom, you get the suspension. I love Darren Lee. I'd love to see him here. I'd love to see him step up next season and really show us, hey, this is what I'm about, not have any issues. But until that, I would bring Mosley in. I'd see, what would happen as far as the competition there. If Mosley were to win out, then I guess he would be the starter and Lee would be in the rotation. I think that's how you have to run it. As far as the trade, I don't know what kind of value would be out there for him, for Lee, but I don't know if we necessarily would be able to move him. But if push came to shove and you could get Mosley and move Lee, I would do that. But I want to go to the offensive side of the football with you, man. I want to get your thoughts on Antonio Brown and us kind of being in the talks of making a move for him. What are your thoughts on him as a player, and what do you think that he will bring to this offense?
With every day that goes by, the more and more I don't want to trade for him because he keeps opening his mouth and the stuff that comes out. I mean, the talent is there. There's no doubt about it. But, I mean, him saying that I don't have to play. It's either my way or I don't have to play. I don't know if I'm taking that out of context of what he means there, but that's concerning to me. You know, if a game doesn't go his way with, Sam Darnold doesn't get him the ball or Sam Darnold screws up, he's going to blow up and just sit on the bench and quit on us. I'm really, really concerned about that. So
I think what he's trying to do is I think he's trying to ruin the Steelers' leverage. Where he's trying to dictate where he wants to go. And bottom line, I think he wants a brand new contract with a whole lot more guaranteed money and everything else. I think that's what his ulterior motive is. So, that's kind of way, if the Jets, I wouldn't offer a lot to get him just because I think he's playing the game and the Steelers right now aren't buying in. So I kind of would let it play out. But the interesting position now for me is you look at the safety position where the Jets have Jamal Adams. They have a guy they believe in, Marcus May. But you look at all the other talent out there. I mean, Landon Collins, Earl Thomas, LaMarcus Joyner, Tyrann Mathieu. I mean, you have proven, legitimate, high-level guys out there. Do you consider them to either bring in competition for Marcus May or to move him?
I don't think you can move Marcus May because you can, but you're not going to get anything for him because of his injury history. When he's on the field, he's a great player, like you guys said. But you've got to bring in competition because he cannot be relied upon. So you're going to have to invest money there. I would be bringing in somebody. I wouldn't be, you can't spend top dollar on the position. But you were saying, bringing in a second-tier guy maybe. And if you can afford a first-tier guy, go out and get it. But, you got to be cautious there because you don't want to invest a whole ton of money in one position when we have so many holes to fill still. But, you got to bring in competition because he can't stay on the field. And if you can play three safeties, by all means, go out and play three safeties. In today's pass-happy league, and Greg Williams is really good at mixing things up and blitzing Jamal Adams, blitzing May, whatever. We can blitz all those guys and get after the quarterback and get them on the ground. That's what we need to do. We need a pass rush. I don't care if it comes from safeties, corners, linebackers, defensive line. I don't care. We gotta play better defense. But we gotta bring in competition.
Yeah, and it's great that you talked about pass rush because that's exactly where I was going to go with you. You look at the list; a lot of guys have been franchised. You're going with Lawrence and Clowney and these guys. Would you be interested in making a trade for Clowney, or are you comfortable with going with Justin Houston or Fowler or any guys that are on a free agency market?
When Justin Houston was a free agent a few years ago, I wanted him. I want him now. I'd bring him in a heartbeat. But I think we need to bring in two guys there. Fowler, I would bring in. Price is right because he really hasn't done much, and there's concerns around with him, both injury, locker room. So I'd be real cautious with him. But I would definitely bring in a Justin Houston. They should be knocking on his door the minute he hits free agency. And as far as trading for somebody like Clowney, it depends on what the market is. It depends on what Williams wants to do. I mean, the Jets, for all we know, why not trade Leonard Williams to a team and then bring in a guy like Clowney? That's something we can do too. Leonard Williams might not really be overall in Greg Williams' plan. We don't know. And he's going to be a free agent soon. So why not try to move him or make a deal and a trade with a draft pick for him? Or, we can couple Robbie into a trade. I think somebody's going to sign Robbie, whether we decide to match that deal. I think Robbie's going to be gone. Robbie's definitely going to get signed to some sort of deal with that second-round tender. There's different things we can do. We just got to – the problem is we don't know what this staff is really going to do, how they really want to build a team and what they want to do. So we're kind of all in the dark here on what they're going to do.
Yeah, Well, that's true, man. Like, the one thing we learned about Mike McCagnon is he really doesn't release much information. Usually a free agent signing catches everybody off guard, where everybody, like Avery Williamson last year, caught everybody off guard. Like, nobody really knows what's going on until they actually announce it. So, you know, it's going to be interesting. They have a lot of pieces they could potentially move, and Leonard Williams, maybe Darren Lee, Robbie Anderson, and they have a lot of money to spend. So they have a lot of ways to improve this team now. It's up to Mike McCagnon to do it. So, Sarah, thanks for calling in, man. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, guys. Keep up the good work.
Have a great night. Thank you.
You too.
You know, and Joe, that's the thing. It's like, you know, to me, it's like I try to look outside the box a little bit, and I know I get ripped for it because people think I'm just hating on players. I'm not hating on players. I'm just trying to explore every option because, listen, at this point, the Jets are a bad team, and they need to find legitimate game-breaking talent, and sometimes you got to do whatever it takes to get it. So, I mean, if you have to put together a package, I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs are in a bad spot because they want to extend Tyreek Hill. They have all these guys they're trying to keep. They got to get Mahomes signed. I mean, they're having money issues. They're going to have money issues. So if you could take advantage of them and, you know, get a D for whatever, a third-round pick, or you got to throw in a player like whatever, you got to consider it. And this isn't hating on a Marcus May or hating on a Darren Lee. It's just like, listen, what can we get for them? And is that player, you know, is that player enough of talent to make the move? And in some scenarios, Joe, you have to consider it. You just have no choice.
Yeah. And again, I want to thank the last caller for calling in. He was great, extremely knowledgeable. Yeah, I think when you look at the situation with this football team, I think you have to explore all possibilities. I think you have to be open-minded, and I think you have to look at ways, hey, how can we acquire talent at positions that we are, you know, in need? And I think, you know, moving guys, certain guys would make sense. Like I said, I love Darren Lee. But if a team called and offered something for him, I would move him if the package was right. Because if you bring in C.J. Mosley, if he's the guy that's already on the roster we signed, then, hey, the competition is going to be there, and he's a significant upgrade. When you look at the situation where we're talking about Robbie, if a guy offers a second-round pick for Robbie, I think you move him as well because you can take that second-round pick and continue to address other holes on this football team. So, you know, it is what it is. I understand that people are attached to certain players, but you got to look at situations, especially with this team being in the situation that it is, and you got to make the moves if they're there. You know, a package to get D Ford makes sense. I think he'd be, you know, much more than a third-round pick. But if they were to give up, you know, if they only wanted a third-rounder and, you know, something else for him, I would make the move as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Like I said, there's a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different options, and you got to perform your due diligence and see what kind of value you can get. So we're going to go to Andre in Florida. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up?
Not much, man. We got a lot of different players that became available today. It's making things a little bit interesting for the Jets. So would you consider a guy like C.J. Mosley at inside linebacker?
I would, but I feel like we have a lot of invested already in our linebackers. And if we do kind of bring them in, it's kind of already showing that maybe Max doesn't have enough trust in Darren Lee, which then it would cause more scrutiny on the pick. And Mac is already under plenty scrutiny, if you ask me.
You can't worry about that. Listen, at this point, I don't care about what he's blown. A real general manager is man enough to admit it and move on from it. So if you find a way to upgrade it, I don't care about the backlash. I care about improving my team.
No, that's true. But even then, I feel like we have plenty invested, and, I mean, I believe it's a competent kind of – I believe they're competent. Meanwhile, what keeps me up at night currently is the cornerback position as well as the edge rusher. So I feel like those are more positions in need than linebacker, which, again, it could be better, but it's not really what's going to be thinking of.
Okay, so you mentioned you keep you up at night. The Jets pass coverage, you want to keep it improved. Corners are definitely an issue. What about the safety position? And I keep talking about it because there's so many quality safeties available. Do you consider pursuing one of these guys to have like 3 very good safeties, or do you want that money spent elsewhere?
I'm open to it, but like I said, I think I'd rather almost pay a lot more for corner and for edge rusher.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I absolutely hear you there, and I want to thank you for calling in. And you brought up a great point there, talking about the cornerback position. I think a lot of people aren't speaking about that as well. You know, the opposite side there of Jermaine Johnson. We're looking at that situation and saying, okay, who's going to be the guy? I want to know who is the guy that you would like us to target in free agency to kind of fill that void, or are you looking for us to go in the draft and address that hole?
Everyone's kind of talking about Ronald Darby, and
Yeah.
he has the great stats, but he has quite the injury history, and he's going to command a really big salary, and he's he's probably going to want to get paid like a top 10 corner, and I mean I don't think he is a top 10 corner. We already have a top 10 paid corner that's not delivering.
Yeah.
So I believe I'd kind of prefer to address it in the draft, especially if we're able to move back.
Mm-hmm. So you would want to see the Jets take a cornerback in the first round?
It depends if we trade back. Currently at 3. At 3 we wouldn't. Oh, no, at 3 I wouldn't. But maybe depending on if we move back, what spot we land in. If not, maybe make it one of our third rounders who can address the cornerback position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
that's currently what I consider.
I hear you there. I would not like to see the Jets take a corner, in the first round, especially if our team kind of goes in the way we're looking now. I'd like to look at other spots along free agency. Other guys are going to be out there. I know Callahan, I think from the Bears, is probably going to be out there.
He's interesting.
Him. Yeah, and that's a guy that I would be interested in seeing. Hey, can he fill that spot? Dale Roberts is still going to be out there. I would like to get him back in here, see if he can fill that spot as well, and maybe look to handle the slot situation, whether it be Perry Nickerson or bringing in another guy from free agency. But corner is something I would not do in first round, even if we moved back. I would still like to address that maybe in later on, day 2, whatever kind of picks. I definitely would not go in the first round for that. But I want to go to pass rusher with you, man, and I want to talk a bit about that because you hit the nail on the head. We need some help there. I mean, you want to talk about jacking up picks and being invested trying to find pass rushers? Mike McCackman has definitely admitted his issues there. If he's going to try to sign guys in free agency, you look at Malden and Donahue and all these guys that he's brought in here that just have not worked out at that position whatsoever.
They're revolving door right now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an open door. It's open competition. I'm looking at the situation. I'm saying Trey Flowers is the guy that's out there. I'm excited about him. I'd like him. But for you, what would be the cutoff point as a GM, as far as money per year that you would say, all right, look, I'm done. I can't get this guy, and I'm going to move on?
Ooh. I'll be honest, I'm not sure what kind of contract they tied. I mean, currently just how important pass rushers are. So I just say I'd be willing to break the bank for Flowers. I'm not willing to risk all on Dante Fowler like the media is kind of hinting at. Especially just because all he has on it is just the playoffs, which is good, granted, but he's going to want to be paid a lot of money, and all he has on his resume is a couple good games in the playoffs and being the 3rd overall pick years ago.
Okay, Andre, here's a question for you. When the legal tampering period opens up, who is the first player you want the Jets to contact?
Oh, Trey Flowers.
Who?
Flowers.
Oh, Flowers? Okay, that's the first. That's your free agent number 1 that you want, Trey Flowers.
Correct. I know a lot of people want Bell. I'm open to the idea, but I'm actually more, and I don't know if this has ever been talked about, but I'm actually to kind of go with Tevin Coleman, who will be significantly cheaper. And a lot of people are thinking that if we get a new running back, we just have to cut Crowell. And I'm actually thinking about maybe if we get Tevin Coleman at a much cheaper rate than Bell, we would actually be able to keep both Tevin Coleman and Crowell. And it's still much cheaper than whatever Bell would command. And we still have 2 good running backs that have both shown that they're heavy, that they're home run hitters. Once they find the hole, they can both be gone. They're both pretty good pass catchers. Tevin Coleman's a great pass catcher, if anything. And they've both shown that if given the spotlight, they can't handle it. But when you share the load, especially on a 50-50 kind of split, they both have been very, very successful.
Andre, good stuff as always, man. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. Joe, and that's the position we really haven't talked a lot about because it's kind of Le'Veon Bell thing's been played out for about 2 months now. But, there's a lot of rumblings now with the Jets where it's like they're either very interested and he's not interested or it's a done deal. Like, it's just like there's so many stories where I'm thinking pretty much a lot of it is clickbait. And then it's like, well, they have interest in Kevin Coleman. And I think at the end of the day, we really have no idea what they want. But the more I think about it, I just don't see it happening. I just don't see Bell happening here. I don't know what – I'm just getting this weird feeling where it's like the Jets have – they probably have a value in their head that they don't want to go past. And I think he's going to go past it. I think he's just going to go elsewhere. I don't know why I have that feeling. And it, like I said, it won't break my heart. I really don't care. It's like I think running backs shouldn't get paid $15, $16 million per year, especially with off-the-field issues, injury issues, and ridiculous contract. You know, it's just it wouldn't break my heart. But for some reason, Joe, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, you know, and I want to thank the last caller again for calling in. He was great. I don't know. Something in me is saying that it will happen because we need that splash signing. We need offensive weapons to put around Sam. And he's a guy that I think if you bring him in, and we all know, you know, the franchise wants to sell tickets. You put his name on that roster, he's going to sell tickets because people are saying, hey, we got an elite weapon coming in. He's a solid running back. Not only is he a great running back, but he's also a very quality receiver. We can put him out there and match him up. You know, Gay's this offensive mind is definitely going to be able to use him. So I can see it definitely being in the hunt for him. Now, closing the deal, but I think we'll get it done because Mac is – I think he's such on the hot seat that if he misses out on a couple guys, he's going to be like, I've got to land this guy. So I could see us absolutely bringing in Le'Veon Bell, and I think it'll happen.
Yeah, and the other player that the Jets have become really affiliated or associated with. My man, Golden Tate. Golden Tate. There's a lot of talk about the Jets and Golden Tate, which to me I find interesting. Yeah, that's fine. Wait till he comes here. You want to throw up now? I can tell you right now, Joe. If Golden Tate becomes a New York Jet, I will sell my soul to get him on the show. I will beg, borrow, and steal. I'll give away. I don't care what I have to do. I'll go sit in his house. I don't care. I will find a way to get him on the show. But the interesting thing is, it's weird that dude. You know how I am, dude. I'll call his agent every day, twice on Tuesdays, to get him on the show. But it's interesting.
Can't wait for that one.
Could you imagine?
Quality.
I'm like, Joe, I got this interview, man. Don't worry about it. You can just sit back and relax and enjoy this one. I got this one.
Oh yeah. It's going to be a blast. I can already that interview is going to be. It's going to be great if he comes here. I can't wait for it.
But the interesting is some of the guys they're being, associated with. It's like Cole Beasley and Danny Amendola, and I'm like, to me, a guy like Humphreys makes more sense. Like, it's weird that names are being mentioned and the names that aren't being mentioned. It's just. I find it strange.
Yeah, it is a little strange. Cole Beasley's a slot guy, like we said, but this wide receiver market, I mean, isn't really like, all that great. I would like to see, if we're going to chase those guys, I think we'll probably be in the hunt for Humphreys as well. Tyrell Williams, a guy that I liked as well. We're not really talking about him too much. We're not linked to him at all. I haven't seen many reports, at least. But again, I don't think any of these guys really solve that number one, wide receiver role, that question mark. I mean, even Golden Tate, who's a guy, is a very solid wide receiver, but he's a guy that's up in age as well. I wonder how much we'll offer him per year. I know he wants to be paid, just like everybody else. It's free agency. It is what it is. But how much can you pay this guy? He's a 30-year-old guy. How much longer does he have left, especially the way that he plays football? He's not like a burner. He's not a guy that you're going to launch footballs down the field to. He's a guy that is going to get those yak yards. You get the ball in his hand early, and he's going to find a way, scoot, move, and get you some yards. They're very physical. So I just wondering, how long can he last? What exactly we're going to offer him to get him here? How much we're going to have to spend? So that's something I look at with him. But adding him to the roster, I don't have a problem. But I still want us to make sure we address that. That number one wideout. We got to get a guy in here for Sam, whether it be via trade. There's names that are out there. We talked about Antonio Brown. I know OBJ, his name was out there, and it could still be out there, depending on who you're asking, whether the Giants are looking to move him. I'd be extremely interested in him as well if a move needed to be made. But, we'll see what we'll do. But Golden Tate, adding him to the roster makes sense.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. And the other position is the center position. The Rams, they cut their center. there's a lot of guys out there, and to me, the more you look at it, like I know everybody's talking about Paradise from the Broncos. To me, Mitch Morse from Kansas City makes a little bit more sense just because he's younger. He's like 27 or 28. He's down there somewhere. But to me, he makes more sense because he's younger, and it's like you kind of want to find a center that you can pair with Sam Darnold for 4 or 5 years. Like, if you get a guy that's 33 years old, what are you getting out of him? 2 years maybe? I mean, you're taking kind of a risk. So, Joe, I'm kind of with the center position. I'm kind of hoping for a younger guy, and then you look at the draft. There's like 3 or 4 centers in the draft that are phenomenal. So you wonder if the Jets do they go free agency or do they take a chance in the draft and draft one?
I think you go to free. I think you sign him in free agency. You don't allow Mac to make a mistake. Please, for the goodness of all that is good, please don't allow him to, because you're talking about, hey, well, yeah, there's 3, solid centers in the draft. You can go in the mid-round. You don't allow Mac to make a mistake here. Don't allow Mac to get Sam blasted like he did with Spencer Long. Go sign a top-quality veteran or a top-quality, offensive lineman that's going to be out there. Let's stop playing this game, okay? We've seen this in the past year. So when you got guys at the upper echelon like we have with Paradise and Morris, you go out there and you attack those guys. Morris, I wouldn't have a problem with him whatsoever being brought in. I think he's a quality center. He's a guy that can get the job done. I'd like Paradise, though. I think he's a guy that I would target. Like you asked the question about the tampering tier. Once that's over, he'd be the first guy that I contact, period. I want a guy that's going to be in front of Sam, that's going to make sure that Sam is good to go so he's not getting blasted. Also, the guard position, I think, is something we need to address as well, and Saffold is a name that not a lot of people are talking about, but damn it, I'm talking about him. We need to make sure we sign him and bring him here, period. We need to make sure that we fortify this offensive line so that we can move forward. Our running game would improve as well behind it, but more importantly, Sam would be able to improve behind it as well. So we need to get that job done.
Yeah, it's funny, like on our Twitter account, @TalkJetsRadio, like I cannot tell you how many times a day we get the feedback, well, I like to draft somebody, but I don't trust McCagnon. Dude, we must get it 300 times a day where it's like every time it's like, well, I'd like to draft this guy, but I don't trust McCagnon, so spend the money. Like everybody's just like spend on free agency because I don't trust his drafting. And I'm like, dude, what makes you trust his free agency signings either? I'm like, it's just some of the feedback is hysterical, man. It's comical.
I mean, listen, can you blame him? I mean, when you look at these situations, this is one of the reasons why we talk about firing him. Everybody brings up, guys like Chris Packberg, and I know our producer is boiling right now because he loves to hand Mac that coffee every morning. But at the end of the day, I can go away from, I can go away from Hackenberg. We can talk about Devin Smith. We can talk about the pretty much the bust out of the entire draft, of the first draftee out here, outside of Leonard Williams, just holes throughout. And you look at this situation, you're going, look, we got a ton of money, a ton of it. You can literally sign a bunch of guys and still have money left over. We can get a lot of the elite guys and still have money left over. So, look, just go buy them. If you don't know what you're doing, again, and that's why I brought up earlier in the show, hey, when he first got here, one of the reasons why he won GM of the Year, Executive of the Year, is because, hey, he went out there and spent that money up. Go buy those guys. Go buy that elite talent and get those guys in here, and don't try to, do something that you've been failing at in the past. Make sure that you cement those positions. And I think that going after either one of those guys, Paradise and Morris, you can't miss.
Yeah, no, listen, there's plenty of talent there to sign. So now we will go to our good friend Steve. Steve, what's up, man?
Hey, guys, how you doing?
No, the question is, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Tyson, I heard about earlier that you said something about your plumbing issue. I just hope you're safe.
Oh, I'm safe. I'm probably breathing in gas right now. Don't worry about that. I'll probably be dead in 2 hours. Don't sweat it.
Oh, okay. Okay. But so anyway, a couple more weeks to go until, the free agency. You guys are making some good points. I mean, well, a week away, excuse me. I'm sorry. My bad on that. A week away.
Okay.
As I look into the free agency class, you guys made some good points, and some teams that have cut certain players today. I mean, obviously, Tyson, you started talking about, with Darren Lee's situation, as he did get better. in 2018, but then with the 4-game suspension. Honestly, I would love if the Jets signed C.J. Mosley, because if we would sign C.J. Mosley, he would honestly fit into that kind of defensive system. You know, you put him out there with Leonard Williams, and, man, with that 4-3 defense, I'll tell you, that would be great. And then, you know, in the safety position, I guess my question is for you, Tyson, is this. With Marcus Maine, you know, with his injury prone, would you go out and sign Eric Weddle? Because Eric Weddle was released by the Ravens today.
See, I wouldn't – probably not Eric Weddle, because I think his days are numbered, but a guy like Tyrann Mathieu tempts me, even Landon Collins tempts me, to be honest with you, because I have a lot of faith in Greg Williams using all these moving parts. So if you have a lineup where you have Jamal Adams, Landon Collins, and Marcus May, you have a ton of flexibility, and they're all tacklers. So if you want to make them a hybrid linebacker, and listen, go for it. I mean, these guys be flying around everywhere. Eric Weddle's probably a little bit – how old is he, Joe? I think he's, 30? He's got to be in his 30s. But, I mean, I would
he's
other guys
Eric Weddle's in his
Eric
30s now. And you know what, Tyson? You did make a good – Eric Weddle, you know, he's a very good football player, very good safety. But to me, Eric Weddle is past his prime. He's just not the same as he was like 5-6 years ago. You know what, Steve? I don't think he's past his prime, but he's a win-now player. He's the kind of player you add to a team like the Dallas Cowboys that are a playoff-caliber team that are ready to win this year. The Jets aren't there yet. The Jets are like 2 years away from being that elite, you know, like that top-level contending team. I mean, Eric Weddle's a win-now player. I think it's like Tyrann Mathieu, these other guys. Landon Collins is 25 years old. I mean, that's just to add that kind of talent where it's not necessarily a need, but if you have faith in Williams, I mean, dude, that kind of playmaker in the secondary would be crazy. Yeah, no. Now, the other thing you guys were talking about with the pass rusher situation, and you guys were talking about if you wanted to pick between either Dante Fowler or Trey Flowers, I would go with Trey Flowers 100%, because to me, I think he's a better pass rusher than Fowler is. Fowler, to me, you know, he is a good player, but he still hasn't lived up to his draft day. But at the same time, we've watched Trey Flowers over the years in New England, and to me, the way how he pass rushes and the way of how he tackles, I pick Trey Flowers over Dante Fowler any day.
Yeah, and Steve, I want to thank you for calling into the show, man. You always bring hot takes, a lot of knowledge, and look, I hear you there. I would love Trey Flowers as well. I think he's definitely a guy that should be targeted. And, you know, I don't know if we'll be able to close the deal on him, but he's definitely a guy that we should go after because of all the ability that you said he has. And I get that you're not necessarily high on Dante Fowler Jr. I understand that. I've had, you know, back and forth with a lot of people. But what are your thoughts on Justin Houston? He's a guy that's going to be out there as well. What kind of contract would you offer him?
Justin Houston? Well, I mean, if I would have to offer Justin Houston a contract, well, actually, Joe, let me ask you this. What kind of contract would you give Justin Houston? I mean, you have to give him something that's reasonable. He's not worth a lot of money, I'll tell you that.
Well, that's why I'm asking you, Steve. I want to get your thoughts on it. He's an older guy. You know, of course, you don't want to pay him an exorbitant amount of money, but he's definitely a guy that you're going to have to give a solid deal to be here. I like to keep him for maybe 2, maybe 3 years at the most. Before I really think that his time is going to be done. So you would look to get that, maybe a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option, something like that. But look, he's a guy I definitely think you have to go after.
Because you know what, Joe? That's around the range that I am. I mean, I give him a 2-3-year deal, $30 million, but, you know, it's just he's not worth 4 years. He's worth 2 to 3 years. But I wanted to get your thoughts also, guys, on the corner position because, you know, because I know corner, I think, is a more important position that we need for the free agency than our safety position. At the corner position, what are your thoughts on Bryce Callahan? Would you get a guy like Bryce Callahan?
Yep, I would. I absolutely would. I mean, he's not familiar with Greg Williams. He's a quality player. I mean, you know, some of these guys, if the Jets are very proactive and go after them, you have to have faith that these are guys that Greg Williams wants, that he thinks a good fit in his defense. and I would trust him with that. Like, I think he's earned the benefit of doubt in that scenario, and that's a guy he has familiarity with. So, absolutely. I mean, Joe, what do you think? I mean, that makes plenty of sense.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. He was the guy that I talked about earlier on the show. I'd bring him in, no problems whatsoever. I think you're going to have to give him, a very solid deal to get him here. But, I mean, to me, he would fill a spot that we need here.
Yeah. Then I guess the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. Now, I guess, with some of the wide receivers, in free agency. And, Tyson, I think you're going to like this from me. But I would actually really like it if the Jets actually did go after Golden Tate, because I think Golden Tate would be a really, really good receiver to work with Sam Darnold.
And why is that? Why would you think that?
Because I think Golden Tate has a really, really good style of his game. I like his game. And, he's a veteran receiver. He's worked with veteran quarterbacks. He's worked with Russell Wilson. He's worked with Matthew Stafford. He also worked with Nick Foles when he was in Philly for that partial time. And he's worked with veteran quarterbacks as well. I think he could make Sam Darnold into a really, really good quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think he's a good complementary piece. I think he brings a lot to the table. It's experience, he has return ability. I mean, he's a winner. He's supposedly a very good locker room guy. So, I mean, it all makes sense,
yeah.
Man. It's just, but there's also other younger guys available that could make more sense too. I mean, you have guys like Humphries out there that are significantly younger than him.
Yeah, no. Humphries is definitely a good pick. Would be a good piece because Humphries is young. And, I've seen him what he's done in Tampa Bay. He did really good when he was with the Buccaneers. But my next question is, though, I wanted to get, because I know you guys talked about this earlier in the show, is how do you guys feel about the new uniforms coming out on April 3rd or April 4th? I mean, are you guys excited about it? Are you nervous about it? Or you just don't care?
To me, I'll answer first. I can really give a rat's ass. Like, I don't really care. I mean, they don't make the team for me. I mean, if you have shiny, nice new uniforms and you can't play a lick of football, they don't really matter. I mean, if you want to have the black uniform, to me, it's about the play in the field, man. I honestly do not care. And listen, I'll buy a New Jersey, and of course, you buy all this stuff. But dude, to me, it's like I just want to win games, man. You can wear purple and flowers and all kinds of Hawaiian attire. I don't give a rat's ass what you wear. Just win. I just want to win, man. Like I just don't.
Okay.
I mean, what's your take, Joe?
Okay.
What do you think, Joe?
I was, my thing is I really don't care either. I'm more worried about the personnel that we're going to have on this football team. I understand why people are, excited about it, though. It's unveiling a new era. We're going to have New Jersey and stuff like that. But I'm not really worried about it. I'm more worried about how we're going to build this football team and who's going to be in those jerseys on the field. So that's what I'm worried about. But I understand why people are, hyped up about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it will be. I mean, it was time to make a change with the uniforms, but we're gonna see what it's like on April 4th. I mean, if we do add black, what, we add black, but at the same time, as you guys said, it always matters on. We can have the worst uniform, we can have the best uniform. All it matters is on the field.
No, that's true. That's definitely true. Steve, good call as always, man. Thanks, sir. We appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, guys. Have a very, very good night.
You too, man. There's another position, Joe. It's like the corner position. And I'm sorry, Callahan doesn't have familiarity with Greg Williams. There's another player. I was trying to think who the hell it was that I wanted that played in Cleveland with him, but I forgot who it was. But there's a couple corners, and a lot of these guys on defense, Joe, you got to just where I question Adam Gase a little bit on offense. I have a lot of faith on the defensive side. Where if Greg Williams says, "Hey, listen, I need this guy for my scheme," you kind of buy in there. I mean, are you in the same boat with him?
Yeah, look, I want to thank Steve again for calling in. Phenomenal call, but I trust Greg Williams. I think he's a guy that we've seen get it done with many teams. He knows what he's doing, especially when you look at the situation that we have here. Adam Gase is really just an offensive mind. I mean, he's come out and talked about it. He wants a head coach of the defense. He wants a guy to be able to take over and take care of that, and Greg Williams has a resume to do that. So, yeah, I don't have any problem. If he's a guy that he wants to go after and get, then that's fine. But I kind of wanted to go back to talking about Golden Tate and bringing him here. Another reason why I think that people are so high or talking about him being here and why we're so interested in him is because I think he fits Gaze's system as well. If you look at a lot of things that Gaze did with Landry, those screens, they used to run against us all the time, a lot of pick plays and stuff like that, where they would get the ball in Landry's hand early and he would just take off down the field and we wouldn't be able to catch him. You can do a lot of those exact same things with Golden Tate. That's literally what people have been doing with him for years. I mean, you look at what he did there with the Lions. The Lions used to run stuff like that all the time, where they would run little screens to him, little pick plays to him, where he would come across the middle, catch the football, and be gone 20, 30, 35 yards, 40 yards down the field. And he would just get yak yard after yak yard after yak yard, just blowing through tackles and absolutely destroying corners that were trying to get after him. So I think that he fits with what Gaze would want to do here, and I think that's why we're so heavily tied to him.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, you give him the ball in space and let him run. He's a consistent route runner. He's a good locker room guy. Like he fits all the check marks, and that's the one thing you kind of wonder. Like, it was interesting that Frank Reich of the Indianapolis Colts did an excellent interview, and they were like, would you sign this player and would you sign this player? And he's like, listen, he goes, at some point the talent gets discounted if the attitude and mindset doesn't match the locker room. And he's like, listen, you could have all the skill in the world, but if you don't want to work your ass off, or if you're not a team player, if you're not buying into my system, you have no value to me. And dude, it was such an impressionable speech where he said that, where it's like, all right, we know what Indianapolis Colt is. We know their draft picks. You look at Nelson and Leonard, all these guys, they want, high character guys, work ethic guys, and they're not going to stray too far away from that. Now the question is, at this point, 2019, what is a Mike McCagnon player? What is an Adam Gase player? Do we have any idea? Like, will the Jets push the limit with a guy that's maybe not a high character guy to get that talent in the building where other teams won't do that? And that's kind of the question, Joe. We talked about Antonio Brown, who's just going off the rails right now. To me, in my opinion, trying to sabotage his contract to get out of it. But, I mean, he's, been a problem. Le'Veon Bell's, had some issues as well. Somebody's got me. Dante Fowler's had some issues on and off the field.
Yeah.
Do you take those chances to get the talent in the building, or do you say, you know what, we're going to stick to our program and believe in our program?
Yeah. Well, I think you take those chances in certain instances because our locker room is so strong, but it depends on how much of a risk it is. When you look at our history here, do you remember how
it's not too strong? I mean,
Tremaine
Johnson was a pain in the ass last year. It didn't help with him.
Yeah, but
locker room ain't that strong.
Yeah, but he wasn't destroying the locker room. It wasn't like he was destroying the team. He was just having some bad. He wasn't destroying the locker room. he was. You're right. There was some issues on the field there where we were wondering, like, what is he doing out there? He looked clueless at times, but he wasn't like blowing up your locker room. When you look at the situations that we have with guys like Sheldon Richardson, when you look at the issues that we have with Muhammad Wilkerson, those are issues that you don't bring here. If you do your due diligence, and that's part of free agency as well, is inquiring about the player and talking to the former team and saying, hey, what's going on here? Little nugget, those were the issues that a lot of people had with Muhammad Wilkerson. That's why when he was gone and on the market, that's why a lot of teams didn't offer anything, because they looked at stuff in the background and things like that. So when you look at the background of the player and you say, okay, well, what is going on here? What happened? How did it happen? What kind of character is this guy? Is he a high character guy? Is he a guy that we can bring in and get something out of? Is he going to destroy my team? If you don't want to take that risk, then, hey, you don't take that risk. But I think that we can bring those guys in here. I think Antonio Brown is a guy that's competed at such a high level. It's just been absolutely ridiculous. What he can bring to a team is absolutely – it's crazy. It's off the charts. But you look at his situation, I think you have a talk with that player before you bring him here. What's going on? Are you going to do this when you come here? And you kind of check the temperature before you sign a guy like that. And Fowler Jr., all those guys, you can do the exact same thing. So as long as a guy is not going to blow your locker room up or absolutely destroy you, then I think you can bring him in and get the most that you can out of him, especially if you've got elite talent.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Like that speech by Frank Reich his answer to that question was phenomenal. I was like, wow, what you're getting with the Indianapolis Colts. Like, if you're going to play for us, this is what we expect from you. This is the kind of guy we want, and that's it. Right now with the Jets, I think they are ridiculously desperate for talent. And I think they're desperate for talent. They're desperate for names. They're desperate for a splash. They're desperate to sell tickets. So it's interesting. It's really like you knew with like Eric Mangini back in those days, you knew what you were getting. Like now with Rex Ryan, you know Rex didn't give a rat's ass. He's like, listen, man, you got talent and you're braggadocious. Fine, I don't care. You know, Todd Bowles, I really don't know what it is. Now Adam Gase, it's like he seems to be like kind of a disciplinarian and like a very demanding guy. So you don't know, will that rub players the wrong way? And it's gonna be so fascinating to see how this plays out. It's just to be honest, I don't know what to expect. Like you're excited and you anticipate a lot, but I don't even know what to expect, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I know what to expect. I think I expect us to really go out and make sure that we try to get every single guy that we need to compete and get him under. I really think that Mac is going to try to, and I talked about this, he better try to blow the bag. You better try to get all the elite talent that you can, because not only, does he need to compete because he's under fire, because the seat is hot, but we have the money to do so. And again, and I'm going to keep reminding people of this every single season until that time comes, and it's not that far away. The clock is ticking. This deal is this rookie year deal with Sam. It's every year that goes down, it comes closer to when it's time to actually pay this kid. If he continues to grow, continues to get groomed, continues to mature, and turns into the quarterback that we all want him to, eventually you're going to have to pay him. And let me tell you something. Actually, any franchise that has a franchise quarterback that is, on the level or way ahead of, where Sam is or wherever, when you have to pay those guys, it becomes harder to build around them because of how much money they take off your cap, because of how much money you have to allot to that one position. I mean, it's the top position on the team. They run the team that you can win and lose games because of a quarterback. But it becomes a lot harder because that much money is going to be on your cap every single year for them. So if there's any time to absolutely blow the bag, if there's any time to do whatever you need to do to get guys in here, now is the time, because we have the money. We got a quarterback that's a whole hell of a lot good, and he's on his rookie year deal. So let's get the job done so that, these next upcoming years really put him in a situation to be extremely successful.
All right, we will go to the next caller. It's Gangrene David. What's up, man?
What's going on, fellas? It's been a little while.
I know. What have you been doing, man? What are you just watching like WrestleMania stuff and things like that? What are you doing?
Well, I've been busy making videos. My channel is continuing to grow day by day.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, congratulations on your channel, which I'm sure, Joe, that he's going to promote like crazy on this phone call. But so who are some of the free agents that you covet for the New York Jets?
Well, I've stated this a lot. For me, I think offensive line is the number one priority because everyone is making the case. Listen, you want to bring in Le'Veon Bell, you want to bring in Tevin Coleman, you want to bring in a running back, but however, without a suitable offensive line, especially since you have a young quarterback back there in Sam Darnold, your run game is going to be inefficient, and you're going to have your young quarterback running for his life back there once again. So for me, my most important aspect for free agency, if I'm Mike McCann, is I'm going after offensive linemen. Okay, I'm not penny pinching to not only protect my franchise quarterback, but also, God forbid, if I'm allowing a running back, whether we're paying $16 million a year to Le'Veon Bell, or we're signing Tevin Coleman to just continuously get stuff in the backfield, because those are two key components on offense there. You want to have your offensive line to really help with your young quarterback or your running back. So for me, offensive line is my number one priority, especially at center. I'm definitely going for someone like Mitch Morse. I know Matt Paredes is out there, but Matt Paredes is going to want a bit of money. I'm not saying I'm turning him down, but Mitch Morse, he's coming from a better team. You could probably get him for cheaper as well. So I think he could be a good fit at guard. Maybe you could go for a guy like Saffold. He's probably the most reliable option out there as well. I could also look at Trent Brown from the Patriots, although he might want a bit of money because tackles do cost a lot of money nowadays. And if possible, because once we hit the draft, if the holes in free agency are addressed properly, you could make the case where you could potentially trade down in the draft and you could draft a Jonah Williams or a Jaywan Taylor. So to me, free agency offensive line is my number one priority, especially with what we have going on back there behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, exactly. And, David, I want to thank you for calling in, and you're completely correct. That was one of my takes on the last show was, if we make sure that we shore up the holes that we have right now.
Yo, I miss you, man. How you been, man? I miss you, man.
I've been great, man. It's good to hear from you, man. Seriously, I want to thank you for calling in. But if we shore up the holes along our offensive line, I think you look at the situation where, our draft becomes more flexible. And like you said, trading down to me is always an option. I've been talking about trading down for forever, since the end of the season, since we knew, hey, where were we going to be in that draft? I said, look, it's time to move down and gather picks so that we can continue to build for the future as well. And Jonah Williams is my guy too, because I think paying left tackles in free agency, man, you're going to get fleeced. You're definitely going to give them all your cash, and you don't have, any right to kind of say anything about it because, again, that's a left tackle. It's a staple on your offense there. But my question for you is just dealing with Mac. You look at the situation, are you worried that he'll miss out on, like, the top-tier guys and then wildly overspend on some of the lower-tier guys just to get them in here?
I'm actually more worried about what Mike Maccagnan has been doing for the last couple of years. And, yes, I am actually worried about Mike Maccagnan because this is year 3 now of your rebuild. And the point of this rebuild, obviously, is to gain new building blocks, and it's to obviously, gain building blocks moving forward. But with Mike Maccagnan, I've stated this before, the thing about Mike Maccagnan is how is he marketing the New York Jets to free agents? I mean, if you guys remember Dante Hightower, of course, we were about to make him the highest paid linebacker in the league. Mike Maccagnan was legitimately marketing the hell out of the team. And, of course, what happened? Dante Hightower re-signed with the Patriots to get a better offer. Same thing with Kirk Cousins. This is a critical free agency, especially since now you have a very crucial marketing tool in your young quarterback in Sam Darnold. How are you going to market him to free agents? If I'm Mike Maccagnan, how am I going to negotiate a sufficient deal where I have a lot of money? How am I going to be competing with a team like the Colts, who not only have more money than us, because they're right now the team with the most cap space, but they also have a promising quarterback. Frank Reich is one promising head coach. They also have T.Y. Hilton. The Colts are going to be a very tough competitor. So are the Browns. Even the Browns have a bit of money as well, with Baker Mayfield, even an intriguing prospect as well. So Mike Maccagnan is going to have to improvise. Mike Maccagnan is going to have to improvise. How are you going to market the New York Jets to free agents? Because you have Sam Darnold, you have young guys like Jamal Adams and Leonard Williams. You need to market them effectively and efficiently if you're Mike Maccagnan. No more one-year rentals, because you see how that turned out, because he kept signing one-year rentals to this team because he couldn't get anybody like legitimate building blocks. Now we only have 39 players on the roster, and we have $100 million, of course, but that can go really fast if you're replacing a whole bunch of starters, and now you're going to have to find your way around the marketing table to really kind of get these guys in here. So I'm a bit concerned about how Mike Maccagnan markets the team, but he's got to be critical about it this year.
Yeah, and that's a great take there, David. I'm going to go over to the defensive side of the football with you, man. And right now there's a lot of people saying, hey, we're linked to Dante Fowler Jr. Are you on his bandwagon? Is that a guy that you want to see us bring in as a pass rusher? And if so, how much do you think we'll have to end up offering him a year to get him here?
Dante Fowler, I mean, I understand, the guy obviously made a play in the NFC Championship game, but to me, I think this is a guy who, unless you get him on a reasonable deal, but I think this is a guy who I think would want a lot of money. And to me, I could look forward to, I'd much rather draft a pass rusher who I think could be high caliber than Dante Fowler. I think this is a guy who does have promise, but I think he's going to want a lot of money. And someone like him who hasn't really proved much in the league, granted because he did have that injury and then all of a sudden he got traded to the Rams and all that. And he does have some issues, Tyson. You mentioned that. But if I have an opportunity to draft a pass rusher rather than having to overpay one who really hasn't accomplished much, then I wouldn't do it.
But, I mean, you have guys like Justin Houston and Robert Quinn, all these other guys out there, the guys that have accomplished things, they can be a good piece to use while that young draft pick is developing.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. I would go for a guy like Justin Houston. Robert Quinn is also an option as well. Trey Flowers even, that's an intriguing guy as well. there's quite a bit of intriguing pass rushers out there, at least to me, over Dante Fowler, because my concern is Dante Fowler's going to want to get paid a lot of money, and if that's the case, where we do have options at pass rusher as well as the fact that we have to get other holes on the roster, especially offensive line, then I'm not going to overpay for a guy like Dante Fowler.
No, and I agree. Now, what is your take on, inside linebacker in the safety position? C.J. Mosley being available is ridiculously interesting there. And then you have guys like Landon Collins and Tyrann Mathieu and all these other players that, kind of surprising players. What are your thoughts on them?
Well, C.J. Mosley, I actually didn't see coming. I think because we do have promising inside linebackers. I do like Avery Williamson. I think he's a guy who's molding into a great leader. Darren Lee's also coming back, so we do have some young talent at inside linebacker. I do like the inside linebacker position.
Hold on. Yeah, but is Darren Lee a building block? Like C.J. Mosley is a very, very good. He's much better than Darren Lee. Is he?
I'm not
a building block?
I think he's developing into a sufficient building block. I know he got suspended last year, but I think the dude is growing as a player, especially throughout the last few years. But I'm not discounting C.J. Mosley, but that depends on the kind of contract you want to offer him. So, Tyson, let me ask you, though, if you are trying to sign C.J. Mosley, what kind of contract are you offering him?
Whatever he wants.
I don't care. Really? Wow. So you're going to break the bank for him?
Why not? I think he's that good of a player.
Yeah.
He's a very good player. But see, to me, it's like with that, you have the ability to either trade Darren Lee or move him outside, make him an outside rusher or something like that. I just think he'd be a very valuable asset to have. Him and Williamson in the middle would be ferocious.
No, I could definitely see that because, I would actually want Darren Lee to really just kind of grow more as a Jet because you look at Darren Lee. I mean, I'm not discounting C.J. Mosley.
How many years is he going to have to grow here? I mean, what is it, a 10-year growing program? At some point, you just got to man up and play great football.
I mean, listen. I mean, I think what is he entering the fourth year of his rookie deal? I mean, I want to see what he has left. I mean, but on his rookie deal, and let him continue to flourish. And the fact you need some options for him. Obviously, I like C.J. Mosley. That's an intriguing option. But at safety, though, Tyrann Mathieu, we wanted. This is a guy we looked at last year. We obviously love Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams, fantastic player, definitely my favorite right now on this team. But the question is, though, is what do you do about Marcus May? I mean, Marcus May, he's obviously a developing talent. He's a young second-round pick, but I think he'd be a very good safety if the injury bug wouldn't really continue to impact him because he got hurt a lot last season. So I think, to me, Tyrann Mathieu is probably an option I'd look at if you do want to sign another safety. Landon Collins, I understand he's a Pro Bowler, all that. He's a decent safety, but his coverage is a little bit raw. But I think Tyrann Mathieu could be an intriguing option, but I think he would probably go to a much more winnable program.
Well, I mean, that's up to Jamal Adams, those guys that sell him on the program and give him the buy-in that this team can win sooner rather than later. I mean, that's part of the challenge here. So David, before we let you go, give out all your information with your prominent YouTube channel, all the cool things you're doing, because that's what you do.
Well, first of all, guys, it's great talking to you guys again. You guys can check out my YouTube channel at Gangrene David. I do have about 1,200 subscribers right now, so I am trying to get to 2,000 before the football season starts. You could definitely follow my Twitter at GangreneDavid1. You can follow me on Instagram at Gangrene_David. I got a lot of videos coming up, especially in regards to free agency. I probably will be doing my own call-in show live this Thursday night around 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. I'll tweet out that information as well. If you guys want to call in, you guys are more than welcome to. I have a lot of Jets fans that call in. We talk.
I think
football,
Joe charges for that, David, to be honest with you.
No, I do not charge for any of that. Knock it off.
That's what I've heard. That's the rumor mill told me that. All these appearances,
that's
people ask to go on their show, and I'm like, Joe will go on, but he has a fee.
See, first off, David, you do a great job with your YouTube channel and your videos. This is the type of lies that I'm talking about that Roush should be spreading because nobody's saying that.
Not what I heard.
You. I don't charge for anything.
Well, thank you, Joe. But however, I am expecting Steve to start charging me if I do ask him to come on my show again. So.
David, good stuff as always, man. Thanks for calling in.
Take care, guys. Have a good one.
You too. And once again, don't forget to check us out, YouTube, Let's Talk Jets Radio, Instagram and Twitter, @TalkJetsRadio. Check out NYSF Magazine, which is nysfmag.com, and Spreaker, SPREAKER.com. And I know, I already blew it, but our call-in number is 929-477-2651. Just fire me. I mean, my hot water heater's broken. I got water everywhere. Dude, I don't know what the hell. I mean, look, y'all, I'm floating right now doing this freaking show. So what do you want me to tell you? So we're gonna go to Brandon in San Francisco. Brandon, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound good. You're good.
Hello. All right, awesome. Hey, great show. It's been a couple of weeks. I think last time I talked to you was right before we hired Chairman Gase. I'm looking forward to see what he's all about. I just want to talk a little bit about free agency coming up and get your thoughts on, and you've been talking about it a lot tonight, on Antonio Brown and some of these guys I think we should avoid. I think Brown, Le'Veon Bell, I want no part of them. I think we got to start in the trenches on both sides of the ball. I'm really excited about this number 3 overall pick, and it looks like the Cardinals might be doing us a big favor by possibly going after Kyler Murray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, but I think one thing about free agency, though, like Brown and Bell are the obvious names, but what about some of these new guys that have been added to the list? I mean, there's a lot of prominent safeties that are available, some inside linebackers that are available, players that nobody really expected. Are you tempted by any of that, or do you feel comfortable with guys like Darren Lee and Marcus May?
Yeah, I'm certainly tempted by it. I think when you think about the NFL and where it's at right now, it's all about speed. We know what a shutdown corner can do, although we're not talking about shutdown corners in this situation. We thought we had them last year with Tremaine. But, yeah, I mean, I think if you could bring in Tyrann Mathieu for the right price, I mean, Landon Collins, you got to expect he's going to be looking for big money. There's a reason the Giants are letting him go. I mean, that guy, I think the Giants made a huge mistake, by the way. That kid's special. He's kind of – he reminds me a lot of Jamal. Maybe Jamal reminds, him and me. Sorry, I messed that up there. But anyways, I think that, yeah, either one of those guys, we can give him a look, but how much do you want to pay? We have got so many holes. He's going to give a safety, $8-9 million a year? I don't think we can allocate those kind of funds there when you got 2 stars in May and Adams.
Yeah. And I want to thank you for calling in. I'm right there with you. I look at the situation when you look at May and Adams. I think we have a solid pair. I understand the issues with May and his injury history, but for me, if you're going to address safety, have somebody behind him, I'm getting a second-tier guy. The only first-tier guy I think that intrigues me is Matthew because he's so versatile. But to break the bank for him, at least like you said, when all the other holes that we have on the team, I wouldn't do that. But if he would come in for a decent deal, I would possibly be interested in that because, again, he's so versatile and there's different things we can do with him. That 3 safety set with him in it would look ridiculous. But I would go after a second-tier guy. But I want to get your thoughts on the pass rushing situation here, man. You look at Justin Houston becoming a free agent. What would you offer him, or are you even interested in bringing him to the New York Jets?
Yeah, good question. Justin Houston's an interesting case here because I think that you might be able to pick a guy like that up on, maybe like a 2 or 3 year deal, probably somewhere maybe that like 16. See, the thing is, he's going to command somewhere in that like 16 to 20 guaranteed. I don't know if you're able to spread that over those 2 or 3 years. I mean, yeah, he's certainly someone that's interesting, right? Because if you could take him and then get another guy in the draft to bookend that line, I mean, all of a sudden you've got a formidable pass rush. I think that's the way to go. I'm not interested in Fowler. I mean, he's another just head case guy who seems to kind of underperform, whether it was with the Rams or with the Jags. I'm not really into Fowler as much.
So, Brandon, when the start of legal tampering begins, who are the first 2 players you call if you're Mike McCagnon?
Interesting. First 2 players you call when you tamper with them. I mean, you got to think that the first guy he's probably calling might be, what's his name, Sullivan from the Rams, right? He's got to be one of them because we desperately need to solve our offensive line right at center. I think
you want a
33-year-old
center? That's your first phone call, a 33-year-old center?
All right, here's how I look at it, and play a little bit of cap management. There is no one solid on our line right now. There's no one solid on that line right now. And here's the other thing. Kelvin Beachum, I think he's making $10 million and he's on the last year of his deal. They can cut him and save significant capital. The problem is who do you backfill with? And I don't know if there's a center in this draft. I'm not sure how they do this. Guys, you tell me where your answer is on this. Is it on the skill position level?
There's probably two. There's probably two centers better than Sullivan in free agency, and then there's also a very strong draft class. I mean, there's two centers that are better and younger than Sullivan.
Which centers?
Morris and Paradise?
Yeah, well, all right. I will agree with you that Paradise is probably then, to me, he's one of those first few calls. And then I think you have to think pass rush on defense, right? And you try and find a way to either talk to a guy like Justin Houston, D. Ford, if there's a way to pry him away, although I don't think you're going to be able to do it considering we don't have a second-round draft pick. But it's tough. I don't think that the free agency class is as appealing as many people make it out to be. It's interesting, for sure. But all the best pass rushers, especially in offensive linemen, where we really have the most need, they're all locked up on their teams.
What about Trey Flowers?
Trey Flowers is he's an interesting case. I just feel like every single free agent that leaves the Patriots, amounts to nothing on their new team. I mean, can you think of who's the last good free agent to leave the Pats?
Chandler Jones?
Decent.
Chandler Jones left.
He wasn't a free agent. He was traded.
Cardinals.
He was traded. No, he was traded. He was traded. Chandler Jones was traded. Who's the last free agent? Some guy that left the Pats. They didn't want to pay him. I can't think of one. Maybe Adam Vinatieri? It's got to be Vinatieri, right?
Yeah, a lot of big names that left have all sucked.
Who is it?
Malcolm Butler.
Yeah, they've all sucked. Even our guy, Darrell Revis. We brought him back. Look what happened to us. He went from Pro Bowl All-Pro and went back to being old Mr. Jet.
Fair enough.
I'm not sure.
It's interesting. There's a lot of different options out there. It's interesting to see how the Jets approach it. What the Mike McCagnon type of player is. It a younger guy? Do they take any veterans? I mean, it's fascinating, man. It really is.
Yeah, well, it's not so much Mike McCagnon. It's who's Adam Gase going to bring to the fold, and I think we need to see who is the prototypical Adam Gase player. Right? Good question. Who wants to play for him? But who is the prototypical Adam Gase player? I think that we might have a few of them. I think it's guys like Chris Herndon. He's always big on those receiving tight ends, whether it's in Denver, early in Miami, where he tried to reinvent it with Julius Thomas. I mean, and then it's that blocking scheme of running backs that can catch the ball. I just don't know who that is. It's not going to be Crowell, so I'm sure Jets fans are going to follow me up and just say that's why it's Lev Bell, but maybe it's a guy like Tevin Coleman, although how are his hands? That I'm not sure of.
Yep. No, he's a versatile running back. He could probably pull it off. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like, do you spend big at running back? Do you go with lesser options? I mean, they have so many different ways they can go with this. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, to me, and I'll leave on this note, and I know it's getting late for you guys. It's got to be this draft. We have to hit home runs in this draft, and I think leveraging that 3 pick. If Kyler Murray goes number 1. We've got to find a way to trade down and, develop more draft capital. And the only problem is we don't trust the guy making those draft calls because he's been terrible in anything in the mid rounds. So with that, great show, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for calling in. And, we'll touch more into the draft as it gets closer because there's so much to change between now and then, especially in terms of who they sign in free agency. But it was so funny, Joe. We'll go to Dan next. But it's so funny, like Metcalf had that phenomenal combine. And all of a sudden, Jet fans like, we got to take him at 3. I'm like, are you out of your friggin' mind? I'm like, are you lost? Like, what? I'm like, listen, if Murray goes 1, that means either Bosa or Allen are falling to 3. So that right there to me is the jackpot. And then if you trade down, it's got to be for a king's ransom. Because if you walk away from, God forbid, if Bosa comes to 3, I'm not even – dude, the minute that happens, he's getting selected. I wouldn't even think about it. Like, I wouldn't even care.
Yeah.
Like, so if that's what happens, Joe, I'm taking either Allen or Bosa or a king's ransom. I mean, you're going to throw me so many draft picks that I'm going to just be crying for days. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's the way this works for me. Right? Don't you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely agree. And I want to thank the last caller for calling in. I mean, he brought it. I always love talking to him, when he's out there. So, but let me tell you something. I like Metcalf, but like you said, though, after that workout, people were just, we got to take this guy high. I don't know if you want to do that. Very good player, though. We'll cover the draft getting closer, but I don't know if you'd want to do that. But, yeah, with them taking Murray, if they take him one, and you looking at this situation where you got two, guys that could be right at your doorstep, solid pass rushers. If we trade down from that, we should absolutely fleece whatever team decides to move up. And we should get a ton of picks and still address things. So the future's looking bright for us because I think we can move down in that situation and still stay in the top 6, top 7, and still be solid. So and still get a guy. The guy that I've been talking about constantly, Jonah Williams, the guy I've been wanting to target. I think he'll still be there, and I think we can get a ton of picks and still get him to address that tackle position. So we'll see what happens. But, man, it's about to get interesting there.
Yeah, and we'll go to Dan next. But if Bosa's there, I'm not trading down. I'm taking him, and I don't care. Yeah. Everybody yells. Well, dude, I'm not even hesitating. It's done. Put the pick in. I'm done, and celebrate.
Here's the thing though, is that again, and this is why free agency is so important because it sets up that flexibility of the option of just trading down. It sets that up. If we sign, and look, I know you love Bosa. I get it. I'm an Allen guy. I talked about that earlier when we were kind of mentioning the draft here and there. I'm really big on him. But if we get a guy like Trey Flowers and you get a Justin Houston, if you decide to move away from Bosa or you decide to trade down if he's still there, I don't think the blow is as hard as if you miss out on those guys and then you go, okay, I'm going to trade down anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because you still got guys, on your roster that can still rush the passer, even though, Bosa is a phenomenal passer, is a guy that's going to get after it. But, so just setting yourself up in free agency really gives you flexibility in your draft.
No, I definitely agree with that. I mean, if Murray goes 1, the Jets hit the jackpot. They hit the absolute jackpot. So we will go to Dan in Howard Beach. What's up, my friend?
Senores and senoritas, boys and girls, I am stoked, baby. Free agency's around the corner. We're going to have a new face, new team this September. Oh, my goodness. Guys, priority number 1, priority number 2, priority number 3 is O-line, O-line, O-line. Guys, we got to protect a franchise quarterback that we've been waiting for over 40 years. Guys, priorities. Roger Saffold, Matt Paredes. Yep. Mike has got to go there and say max money. Draft day comes. If Bosa's off the table and Josh Allen is off the table, you got to trade down. You got to trade down and get yourself Jonah Williams. Those are 3 solid offensive starters that you can surround around Sam Darnold, and you can keep him upright, healthy, help him with his development. Onward. We can't do anything without that offensive line being set by September. We can't. We could sign the best free safety, the best edge rusher, even Bosa, for instance. But we have no offensive line. 3-13 season, guys. 4-12 season. That's it. We don't have the stellar power on defense like the 2000 Ravens or the 86 Bears to get this through. We don't have that. We have a young quarterback, a young nucleus, a little bit, but we can't do anything without an offensive line. Woo!
Well, but see, I think Mike McCagnon knows all that. I think that's kind of, we're all assuming that he's going to address the offensive line. Where things get interesting is where you start trying to plug other holes. Like we've talked about it. Like, how do you handle inside linebacker? Are you comfortable with Darren Lee? How do you handle where Marcus May's at? You bring in another safety for competition, a guy that could possibly be better than him. How do you handle those positions?
Have you forgotten who our GM is? The king of almost. The king of all. We almost had Roger Saffold.
I'm asking, how do you do it, though? But, Dan, how would you handle it? Would you consider a Tyrann Mathieu, a Landon Collins? Would you C.J. Mosley? Do you consider these guys?
You consider them. Of course, yeah, you have to. But, again, I can't deviate from the actual point of the phone call. The priorities have to be set. You have got to give Roger Saffold and Paredes max deals. Those have to be your 1-2 straight up from the gun signings right there. That's first day. Bam, you give them guaranteed money. You have to do it. Once you get those 2 down, then you start looking at Tyrann Mathieu. Yeah, I would. Why not? Damn, we got what? May is always injured. But again, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because it's just his second year. Yeah, he went on injured reserve, but hopefully he's healthy. But I wouldn't break the bank for these guys. I would not. I wouldn't break the bank for all of these safeties out there because the Ravens they just let go of what's his name, the guy with the beard, the big time safety. Weddle. I go after him. Again, nothing big time, nothing crazy deal. I go after him. I mean, if Tyron wants to break the bank, I'll go with Weddle. Be like, yo, you want to help out? He might be like a Jim Leonard for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, look, and I want to thank you for calling in, Dan. I love talking to you, and I hear you. I would go after a second-tier safety, though, just to kind of back up May, because I think May is going to be solid. But I understand your points about the offensive line and needing to address it, because that was literally my plan, and I pretty much laid out. I think you go after Paradise or Morris, you get that guy in there, solidify your center position, you get Saffold, that gives you a left guard, and I think we go, left tackle in the draft there, and, if we can trade down and move down and we get ourselves Jonah Williams, boom. Problem solved. Said and done. You got guys in front of Sam that are going to solidify your position. And also, if you're not comfortable with Shell, there's some right tackles out there that you can move forward with. But it seems like Shell is probably going to be pinned in as a starter. But I want to talk about the offensive weapons, man, because that's where we're still of need. You look at the situation with Antonio Brown with the Steelers. Are you interested in making a move for him? And if so, what are you looking to give for him? Like,
I got
a guy that you're interested in even after the interviews.
Joe. Straight out from the bat, man. I see Antonio Brown with that blonde mustache. It looks like a porn star gone wrong, dude. I will not go anywhere near that dude. That guy is just flipped. He is on the other side, dude. Like, gone. He's gone. Like, he is gone. Way gone. I wouldn't even touch him. I wouldn't even touch him with nothing. I wouldn't even want to get close to him.
Hold on a second, but do you not think that he's just saying these things so that he can get out of Pittsburgh? I really do believe that what he's trying to do.
Well, he knows, but he doesn't even have to say anything else. I mean, they already established it that he's not staying there anymore.
Yeah, but they're also, again, with the value that they're looking for, that may push a lot of teams away. Don't you think that he's saying these things just so he can get a release? Because realistically, if he really did not need the game and he didn't care about football at all, he would have been done. There'd be no reason for these interviews. It's not like he doesn't. When he starts burying his own quarterback, and that's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Imagine what he'll do to Sam. If they start losing 4-game losing streaks. I don't want no part of Brown. No way. Absolutely not. If anything, if we're going to go the Metcalf route, keep trading down till you're 15, then pick up Metcalf. And for those crazy Jet fans that want to pick him up at 3.
What is going on
Oh, my God.
Where's Metcalf? Oh, my God.
No, not at 3.
listen.
Don't listen to what you want to listen to. Not at 3.
Stop the madness now. This has just become madness.
Wait, whoa. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me propose something to you. Hold on a second. So you wouldn't do this trade? Let's say if the Jets move from 3 to 6. Right where the Giants are, and someone at 15 offers us to move up to 6, an additional first-round pick for next year. You wouldn't do that? And at 15, pick up Metcalf?
No.
You wouldn't do it?
I would, dude. Now you're trading all the way back to 15. You're trading all the way back to 15, and the best value you're getting is a wide receiver when you have old. See, there's a lot of things. I need to know who we have at defensive end, who we have at linebacker, all these things. But still, I still don't see they can receiver 15. I just think there'd be better value.
I mean, if we can pick up, 3 second-round picks from doing that trade all the way moving from 6 to 15, and then an additional first-round pick for next year, I mean, we could definitely –
You can make all the trades you want. I don't want Metcalf at 15.
You don't like David Boston 2.0?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
the ultimate warrior.
What's the history on Kevin White?
Listen.
Frank Zane at White House.
Track record. Christ.
Well, he always swings for the fences in the first round, not in the second round. That's the only part that I actually have faith in him. It's just first round. That's it. Anything else is
Dan, what are your thoughts about Golden Tate? What are your thoughts about Golden Tate? And that's being linked to him as well. Do you think that he's a fit for the Jets?
You know what? If there's nothing out there, whatever, I'm down. But you know what? I'm not going to take that bait. No way. Because there's so much things that can happen. I'm still holding out for Mike Evans. If there's some way that we can move Leonard Williams and I don't know, a third round pick that we have this year, all couple it together and get Mike Evans, let's go for it. I just don't want to bite so soon now. The Antonio Brown topic is hot right now. Everybody's biting on that. The Le'Veon Bell thing, everyone's biting on that. I don't think the Jets are going to go for Bell. I think they're probably going to go for Coleman, or there might be a wild card out there. And I don't know, maybe it might be like a Duke Johnson or something like that. But I don't think they're going to break the bank for Bell. I don't think so. I like him, though.
Good stuff as always, man. It's great to hear how excited you are, man. We're looking forward to next week.
All right, fellas. Love talking to you, man. Have a great one. I love the logo.
Thank you, man. Have a good night. Yeah, our logo is courtesy of Mr. J, NYSF Magazine. So check. And Joe, I mean, that call was all over the place, man.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to disagree with all the things. I disagreed with almost pretty much all of it, but
I want to thank Dan for calling in. He brings his takes. He brings his takes, and he's a great Jets fan. And I hear what he's saying. I don't necessarily agree with all of it, but he's absolutely going to spit his fire.
Yeah, and what we try to do is, like I said, there's so much changes between now and April that it's hard to talk draft when we don't know what's been done in free agency. I mean, we could, gain players. We could lose draft picks. We have no idea what the hell could happen. So it's kind of hard to talk about all those players and how it impacts the team and stuff like that. So we'll kind of stay a little bit away from that, especially for the next couple of weeks as we decipher all this. And I guess, Joe, as we wrap things up, I guess your first phone call, if you're Mike McCagnon, you said was to Paradise?
To Paradise, yes. Paradise or Morris.
Yeah, to me, I'm kind of with you. To me, like one of my most pressing needs is center. Like whoever Mike McCagnon deems as his center of the future, the guy that he desperately wants, that's got to be priority number one. You got to get that guy for Sam Darnold. It's crucial. That's the anchor of your line. I mean, that's to me, it's one of the most important positions on the team. And you can't bargain shop. You can't wait and make more cupcakes and add sprinkles to them. Just get it done. Whoever the guy is, if he deems it's Morris or Paradise or Sullivan or wherever the hell it is, be first in line for the guy. It's that important. And then after that, I'm thinking he's probably going to look at – I'm thinking it's going to be a guy like Trey Flowers. I think he's going to – it's a versatile guy. I have a funny feeling that's kind of the route he's going to go because I think there's going to be such a feeding frenzy for them because there's not a lot of quality pass rushers available. Like guys like Justin Houston and Flowers, I think it's going to be a crazy bidding war.
Yeah, I do. I think he's one of the guys that we'll target, and we definitely will get into a bidding war with him. But for me, after Paradise and Morris, I'm going Saffold. That's where I would go because that left guard position, there's a gigantic hole there. We talked about the center position with Morris or Paradise, whatever one of those guys we end up getting. I mean, you look at the implication of not having a good center. Just go back to last year's tape when we were watching Spencer Long get Sam blasted. I mean, one of the reasons why Sam got hurt was literally because of Spencer Long and his inefficiencies at center. So you look at that left guard position as well. There's a hole there, and there needs to be filled. You guys want to bring in backs, you want to bring in a running back, Le'Veon Bell, whatever. He's going to have guys open up holes for him. I think Saffold is going to be that guy. So that's the guy that I would target next. And, of course, then after that, we're going to go into pass rush. We're definitely going to look at Trey Flowers, Justin Houston. I know people are very kind of up and down on Dante Fowler. I understand why, because the numbers and some off-the-field stuff about him as well, but I could see us absolutely going after him to kind of fill those holes. But I would like to see us sign 2 pass rushers in free agency because we have the money to do it. We can allot it to those guys, and it would definitely be an instant upgrade for us.
No, I agree. And there's 2 things you want to see McCagnon do. And he started to do it last year, which I give him credit for, is don't be used as leverage. Like you can tell when players are using you for leverage when they want to sign somewhere else. So avoid being used for leverage, and don't be scared to give take it or leave it offers when there's other comparable players at the position. Like if you're down to Morris and Paradise is stringing you along because he wants to visit 3 more teams, don't get caught with your hands in your pants. You know what I mean? Like don't get caught where you don't get him and you don't get your next guy either. Like, he's got to have a plan. Say, listen, this is our best offer. Take it or leave it. If you don't want it, fine. Yeah. We're moving on because we can't sit around and wait to make a decision while you use us for leverage. Like, that's the one concern I have with some of these players where you're all in on, say, whoever it is, Flowers or whoever it is, you're sitting here waiting for his answer, and meanwhile, Justin Houston, somebody else sign elsewhere. Like, he's got to be pretty stern and pretty aggressive where it's like, here's what you got, boom. And like, he's got to strike, He can't, like, that was one of his, last year he started to be a little more aggressive and started, like, pull out when our best offer was made. He's got to do the same thing this year, too.
Yeah, and he does. He has to be aggressive, but I'm hoping that this year he lands those guys because, again, we saw him go bargain basement shopping. We just talked about a guy who spent long. What did you say?
The fancy cupcakes are coming out. We're bringing the golden sprinkles.
Yeah, he's got to get the job done because we've seen him in the past go bargain basement shopping, bringing in guys like Terrell Pryor. I mean, this was just last year. Terrell Pryor, Spencer Long, guys that we were like, hey, you got $100 million, you need to spend. This team needs to be good. We finally got a young quarterback here. What are you doing? So he's got to make sure that he lands those guys and gets the job done because, again, he's in the hot seat. If you cannot bring talent in here through the draft, if you cannot bring talent in here through free agency, then what the hell are you here for as a general manager? What is your job? Your job is to make this football team better. It's to get talent in here, point blank, period.
Well, yeah, and that's the expectation. I mean, the Jets have said they're going to be aggressive. The Jets have said they're going to make bold moves, and that's what we're all expecting this. Like $100 million, you expect big things to happen. There's no excuse. Like, there's no excuses. This is it. Like, this is your time to shine.
Nope.
This is money time now. Like, we've waited for this. You sold us a lousy rebuild this year. We endured 2 lousy seasons to get where we're at right now. So now we've had all the pain and suffering. Now there's no excuses. Get these players in the building and don't let them leave. And that's what they have to do. Like, you don't want to, it's just, I'm going to stay positive. Just don't let them, you get the guy in the building that you want. Don't let him leave. Get the deal done and put together a very solid foundation where this team can compete at a high level this year. That's the expectation.
Yeah, it is, and he's got to make sure he gets the job done, like you said, and they come out and said it. They got to make some bold moves. You better damn sure make some bold moves, and you better get some guys in here that are going to make this football team better. And there's a lot of guys out there, you said as well, that could be available for trade. I don't know what the trade is going to be looking like, but maybe you start making trades, and maybe you start doing whatever you need to do to acquire the talent that you need here, so that guys can make this football team better, so that we can finally start winning. So we'll see what happens, man. But McCagnon has got to get done this offseason.
Yeah, so like I said, as we wrap things up, a very exciting time. You can follow us. I know Kevin's been doing a great job on Instagram, keeping things updated, and Joe's on Facebook. I do the Twitter. Mm-hmm. All our social media is very active and keeping news up there and interacting with everybody. So be sure to keep following us. And it all starts next week. It's going to be wild. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. And just the last little note to Joe.
Yeah. Before, because I know we're wrapping up, but I had a question for you, and this is something I wanted to talk to you a little bit about on the show as well, because there's a lot of chatter about OBJ is picking up steam in different places.
He ain't going nowhere.
How realistic is it? Do you think that we make a trade for Odell Beckham, and what do you think we'll have to give up?
It'll never in a million years happening. Okay. Never.
I'm just asking.
Listen, I'll tell you how. You have a better chance of seeing Hackenberg go to the Pro Bowl than you do Odell Beckham Jr. going to the Jets.
Okay, I'm just asking. There's a lot. I'm telling you, and we all know there's a lot of chatter picking up steam about him being moved, and that the Giants are actively looking, around and asking different teams. I know the Niners have been mentioned with him as well. So, but I just, just throwing stuff out there. If he's on the market, what exactly we have to give up? I think you'd have to give up something hefty, but he'd be a guy I'd be interested in as well. But like you said, I don't necessarily think that they would make the move, especially not with us.
Nope. No, I mean, there was rumors that they wouldn't let the Jets trade up to them last year when we wanted to move up, when we moved to the Colts. If they won't do draft day trades just for draft picks, they're not give up their best player that the fans love. So I mean, and if they do trade him, I think it's going to be for God knows what they're going to get. I mean, the contract is an albatross, but still, I think the draft compensations, I don't think it's even remotely close to happening.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, while we're talking Giants, honestly, I don't know what the hell they're even doing. I mean, you don't bring back Landon Collins. You're cutting half your team, but you're keeping Eli Manning. It makes absolutely no sense at all. Like they used to be like a respected organization. They are a complete dumpster fire right now. They are a rudderless ship. They have absolutely no clue what they're doing. They're a bunch of bungling idiots.
Listen, and as a Jets fan, I'm telling you, I enjoy it. I'm thankful for Gettleman.
Yeah,
I want him to keep doing the job. I want him to keep doing the job that he's doing over there. He is phenomenal. I like the direction that he's moving in. Keep Eli. He's awesome. Great quarterback. He's the guy that you need to keep around for years to come. He's playing excellent. Keep him on there. You want to pass up Sam Darnold and give him to us? No issues. I'll take that as well. So, I think he's doing a bang-up job over there. Keep doing what you do so that we can get better right behind you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we'll see what happens. I mean, a lot of rumors. Like I said, stay tuned on our social media. We keep everything updated. Obviously, we're live next Tuesday. If complete chaos breaks out in free agency, we could always add another show if we have to. So keep that in mind.
Yep.
And Joe, and to the New York Jets, when you do your uniform thing, have a friggin' fan festival. I mean, it's not hard to do. It's so stupid. I mean, it's such an easy thing to do. You have the huge facility. I mean, how hard is it? Put up a big tent, get a bunch of jerseys, get the players in town, sign autographs, sell jerseys. It's ridiculous.
How long? Hold on. How long have we been talking about this stuff? How many times have we talked about things that they could do with the fans, things that they could do during games, things that they could do to improve the stadium environment that would be really simple, like super simple? Having former players walk around, not putting other teams' games on our Titantron while we're playing on the field. Just simple stuff. The different things they can do with the chant, not borrowing from other fans to bring in here. Like we have our own culture here. Why not foster and continue to grow that? Those are all types of stuff. Concessions. We've talked about the concessions, the drinks, the hot dogs. It's way too expensive. Like, there's so many other things that you can do from you can borrow stuff from just other teams as far as concessions, just the way that they sell stuff from other teams around the league.
Atlanta Falcons.
You don't have to ask. Yep. Yeah, you don't have to fleece your fans. Like you said, the Falcons as well. They've lowered their prices there. Just simple stuff so that it could feel more like a relationship where you're wanted, more like a family type of environment there. They have never done that. They're never going to do that, Ty. That's why I'm telling you, like you said, it's just an asinine conversation because they're never going to do that. And we've seen it time and time again, this tone-deaf, kind of cold-shoulder stuff where it's just like, hey, look, pay to be here and get out. Like, that's just kind of how they treat the fans. And until they clean that up, they're going to continue to have the same issues that they've been having.
All right. On that note, Joe, it is your time to shine.
Yes, listen, I'm the man of the people. I'm here for the people, and we shamelessly promote our Facebook page. Everyone go on Facebook, search Let's Talk Jets Radio. Like that page. Our content's up there. Go ahead and give it a listen. Message us. We'll message you right back. We love going back and forth with folks about this football team. Also, leave us some feedback. We love hearing about you folks think we do here on Let's Talk Jets Radio. I'm also on Twitter as well at YoungJ000. That's 3 zeros. Go ahead and follow me. I'll follow you right back. You want to troll me? No issues. I am the troll that lives under the bridge. I will have my Darnold jersey on, and hopefully very soon I will have my Antonio Brown jersey right next to me as well, because I'm hoping that he becomes a Jets pretty soon as well.
You're getting a Raiders jersey?
Go back and forth on there. No. Tyson, I know how to read, so I can't be a Raiders fan. All right? Disqualified. All right? Disqualified. I know how to read. That's over. Raiders fans, if you listen and get at me, you know what I'm saying? Because I'll destroy you, all right? I know how to read. I can't be a Raiders fan. Done, all right? So knock that off, all right? It's Jets is green over here. Get with it, all right? Stop trying to cut what I'm trying to do. Anyway, so I got my Darnold jersey on. Hopefully I have my Brown jersey very soon next to me, all right? So go ahead and follow me on there, and we'll go back and forth. I'm also on YouTube as well at YoungJ00. That's 2 zeros on YouTube, 3 on Twitter. I do videos about the Jets during the season. I also do a pick 'em. I talk about other NFL teams as well. I'll continue to cover the Jets in our roster, who we pick up, different things that we're going to be doing in free agency. So subscribe to my channel. Go back and forth with me on there as well. You want to troll me, no issues. We can go back and forth. I have no problems going back and forth with you on there. And as always, people, when you see me in person, listen, it is arms out, chest open. Yo, this is the second time today you done hated on the outro, bro. It's the second time. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, I can, we got money over here. We blowing through the bag. I'm going to pay some people to come over there. You know what I'm saying? You already got hot water issues. You know what I'm saying? You're floating around your spot right now.
Pay my plumber.
You know what I'm saying? I'll send somebody, you know, maybe your plumber just won't make it. Maybe you got to sit in that water a little bit and think about what you're doing before you keep breaking up our outro, bro. Is that what has to happen right now? You know what I'm saying? Do you have to be face down in that water for a little bit before you realize to not break up my outro or hate on me? You know, I'm just saying. I'm not going to keep talking because the feds is listening. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying. You hating on me. You know, listen. Again, people, at the end of the day, it is arms out, chest open, free hugs for everyone. Do not listen to Roush, okay? He is a pure hater. You cannot separate me from the people. I do not make people pay for anything. It is free hugs, all right? Listen, I want to thank everyone for listening. Without you folks, we are absolutely nothing. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to us and call in. You folks are the absolute best.
Enjoy the weekend, enjoy free agency, and as the rumors come out, we'll all be reacting to them. So we will talk to you next week.